for bed at a regular time is one of the most important habits you can learn.
Who you gonna call?
Jason was my son, and today is his birthday.
Poor Lori. Scared another one away.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
We are counselors at Hackett's Quarry Summer Camp. There is a swarm of bears.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
Most people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you.
It's showtime.
Hello, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Scream Street. Now, we on episode 52, and we're continuing on with our whole series review and discussion. And we're still in the first season, but now we're on the last half of the first season, which is episode 6 through 10. We got through all the craziness that is episode 1 through 5, especially episode 5. Oh my god, episode 5. I am still so sorry I cried on the podcast for you guys, but that episode still just, it's hard. It's hard for me to watch, and I still can't believe I sat through it a second time and watched it. But if you need to know any other information, such as name of the actors, my thoughts and input on what's going on in the show, of it overall, go back, check out part 1 of this. It's got all the fun information. I think I spent about 45 minutes talking about it, and then I dive on I'm having a stroke. After I spent 45 minutes talking about it, I then dive on into the show itself. But we're just going to go straight onto the show because we got much to discuss, especially when it comes to episode 6 through 10, because this is where we learn all of it. Like, we learn, the whole curse on the house. We learn why everybody's being haunted by these demons or whatever the hell it's supposed to be. We learn a bunch of wonderful information that kind of just, oh my god, concludes into an kind of, I want to say an epic finale because it looks epic, but it still leaves me wondering with questions. I have tons of questions here, and we'll see a lot of comeuppings coming up in episodes 6 through 10, and we'll also see a lot of racism coming up in these next few episodes. I'm not even lying, man. I'm not even lying. It gets bad at some point. Even I forgot how, racist the towards the end it really got. It's pretty racist in the first half, especially with all the stuff they say towards the Emery family. But it gets bad come these next couple episodes. They actually drop the N-word with the hard R at the end. I'm not even joking. Even I'm just is that even okay? Is this even okay to even watch? This just feels kind of fucked up. I'm not gonna lie. It just feels wrong here. But spoiler alerts for all those who have never seen the show and just here to hear my input about this show and don't feel like watching it. And for those of y'all who are here because y'all enjoy the show, let's carry on to episode 6, which is entitled Day 7 Morning. So we start off with Ruby asleep in her bed, and she wakes up to her mother above her holding this axe, just saying, it's gonna be okay. Mom's fine. Mom's just fine. And Ruby's just like, oh, hell no, Mom's not okay. But turns out it's all a dream. We don't have to worry about Lucky snapping just yet with the axe. It was just all a dream by Lucky herself. And of course, she startled by the whole situation, so she gets up. And as she gets up, she noticed that she has mud on her feet, and her hands won't stop trembling. It's almost like she's got arthritis or something. I noticed it a couple of times where she was just grabbing her hands and rubbing it tensely. But yeah, no, she woke up in a like cold sweat, confused. Even I myself don't even know where she went. Like, I'm assuming probably the basement. Like, just walking down there kind of barefoot, because there's a lot of dirt and stuff down there. So that is what I'm assuming. If anyone else got any other ideas, you know, please let me know in the comments down below if you're watching this on YouTube. But the point is, she wakes up in this cold sweat, covered in with dirt on her feet, and she don't know how this even happened. So she's in a daze. We then cut to Ruby, who's eating cereal, and she too is also in a daze. She is just like trembling herself, shaking the spoon, and then as she goes to eat some more, she flips it over, and she's looking at her reflection in the spoon with milk kind of covering it. And this is kind of more of her psychological moment. And we noticed throughout, you know, especially in the first 5 episodes, she befriends that little white girl. Oh, God, I can't think of her name. Doris. I think her name's Doris. Is it Doris? I don't have the listing up. Unfortunately, I had to get a new journal because the other one finally ran out. So, yeah, I have no idea what I did with it. I put it down somewhere, and now I can't find it. It's probably in my bedroom somewhere, but I digress. The point is, we know she's been hanging out with her friend, and her friend's telling her that she's beautiful and she is a wonderful person to hang out with. She has no qualms or kind of bad, like in air quotes around this, bad tensions towards her. And I say air quotes because we all know the truth. We as the audience know the truth. She don't. She still is oblivious to the factor that Doris, her friend, whatever the fuck her name is, not even real. Not even real. And her whole shtick is she don't feel beautiful. She don't want to be like her mom in more ways than one. It's more she doesn't want to be her psychologically, physically, mentally, like straight up. She just doesn't want to be like her mom. And her, I guess, picturing herself white makes her feel better. And I don't get that. I don't get Ruby is a beautiful young lady. Like, I'm not gonna lie, she's a beautiful 14-year-old. Like, don't take that like in any other fashion, okay? I'm just being straight up. For a 14-year-old girl, she is beautiful. She is a very beautiful, and she's going to become a beautiful young lady when she gets older. And this whole idea that, oh, I can only be beautiful if I'm white, it's kind of fucked up. It's a fucked up mentality, but I don't think it helps because she has these assholes, especially in her class. You remember that episode of them doing those horrible, horrible noises, like the monkey noises and stuff to her? When you got assholes like that, basically mocking you, calling you an ape and shit, it can't fuck with your self-esteem. And I'm assuming, just from, you know, from what we saw of Ruby, that this is really, really fucked with her. That and the whole thing with her mother has really fucked with her. As we saw in episode 5, you know, she saw this whole crazy cycle with her mom, just going down this whole rabbit hole, and she swore that she would never be like her mom. She would never be like her mom, so she wants to be different. So what's the opposite of her mom? Like, straight up, like, what's the opposite of her mom? A white woman. Like, it's fucked up. And it's sad that these children have done this to her, that she is just broken to this extent. And that this demon is able to play on that and fuck with her that way. And I find it great writing. I just find it horrible that this poor girl's got to go through this. Because she's a beautiful, talented young woman. She is beautiful and talented, and she can go so far. And I know she's smart. Granted, though, we didn't get to watch her too much in school, but you can see, especially her and Gracie. I'm assuming it's coming from the fact that their mom was a teacher. Like, it's not brought up too much throughout the show, but it is mentioned in the first episode that her mom was their teacher. So I'm assuming their mom probably taught them a love of education. So, you know, I feel so bad for Ruby. I truly do. Especially when you find out the second season's whole plot twist. Like, you feel horrible for Ruby. Especially all the shenanigans she's got to go through. But, yeah, no, she's looking at herself in the spoon. Looking at herself, I guess, picturing herself white. And as she's doing this, Lucky is combing out Gracie's hair. And Lucky, she's in zone 2000, just not here in reality as she's slowly combing Gracie's hair out. And about halfway through this, she envisions Gracie's head just engulfed in flames. And then it's almost like that moment from It Chapter 2. Like, it's really weird. But then, you know, she's engulfed in flames. She just looks at her mom and it's just like, am I pretty, mama? Which I guess causes her to kind of snap out of it, but not really snap out of it, and burn Gracie. And, you know, of course, you know, freak Gracie out. Ruby, of course, snaps out of it and is like, what you do to her mom? And she's like, I didn't mean to. It was an accident. I burned her. It was an accident. And, of course, Gracie's being over dramatic. But she's a cute little girl. But she's being over dramatic, though. Just, mom burned me. That hurt, mama. Just walk it off, sweetie. Walk it off. Like you've never been burned by a comb before. Like, hell, I've been burned by a curling iron so many times. I'm surprised I don't even have... I'm surprised I don't have scars from that. From when I tried to, like, curl my hair and shit back in the day. Oof. Ooh. The point is, it ends up happening. They have a little bit, not like a spat, like a fight or anything, but you can see that Ruby's a little standoffish because she's worried about her mom. She's worried that her mom's going to hurt her and her sister. So, unfortunately, that leaves a weird little tension that's going on between everybody. So, they end up going to school. It's kind of a quiet, weird ride out of the driveway. And then you got freaking Betty just standing there, just gawking away because basic bitch Betty got a basic bitch, huh? And after watching the Henry and the girls drive off and Lucky go back into the house, she just storms into her house and she just starts staring at her the wallpaper that has a hole in it. And again, it goes with that metaphor said back in the first part of the podcast. You see the wallpaper as a metaphor for her life. Like, she's seeing the cracks and the peels being slowly peeled back away, and it's really bothering her. Her perfect life is not so perfect anymore, and it's really, really bothering basic bitch Betty over here. We then cut to Henry at work, and he is getting his ass basically chewed the fuck out for the party incident. Like, he's not chewing his ass out, but he's, like, being an asshole boss to him. He's just like, you know, this is a team project, okay? This is a teamwork, and you're not a team player, You're not a team player. You know, maybe if you would work together as a team, instead of going off, smoozing off with the big boss, you know, maybe you can get shit done. But no, here I am sticking my neck out for you, doing everything. Like, maybe I pulled you in too soon. Maybe you just weren't ready for this. And then, of course, you know, Henry's just like, he's getting pissed. He's like, you know he wants to say something, but he can't. So he's just balling up his fist. And he's just like, so does this mean I'm fired? And, of course, his boss is like, oh, no. I mean, I fired people for far less, but no, you'll stay on, but you're off the Pentagon project. Which, that's a striking blow. That is literally a striking blow. And again, I think it boils down to the fact that he got mad, that he got upstaged by Henry at this party, and he was trying to hide the fact that the entire team would have got a percentage of the cut from the Pentagon project. And I find that completely fucked up. And I really wish something bad would have happened to his boss, but we didn't get that lucky, huh? Like, if anybody deserved to get it in this show, it was him. It was definitely him. But unfortunately, I don't think we get that lucky. Like, straight up, I don't think we get that lucky. But, yeah, no, he basically takes Henry off the project. Henry's not that happy about it. He's so pissed off. His hand is basically bleeding for how much he was clenching his fists. Poor Henry. We then cut to Lucky, who goes back to Hazel's place, and she wants to ask her about all this craziness she thinks. Like, she's telling her everything that's been going on, you know, especially stuff at the house with the crazy neighbors, you know, everything that happened at the party. And, of course, Hazel's being rational and just doesn't believe her. She's like, hey, listen, you know, what you're saying is kind of crazy. I'm not going to lie. But I'm here for you if you need anything. And then they proceed to talk about Chester, because apparently she found out somehow, don't know by who, from when, where, what, how, but somehow she found out about Chester, and she brought it up to her saying, I can't believe you didn't tell me about Chester. Like, I'm family. Why didn't you say something? And, of course, you know, Lucky, she still doesn't want to talk about it. She still doesn't want to deal with it, and I can kind of understand. That's a lot to deal with, especially the fact that we still don't know up to this point what she has done. Granted, if you've seen the show, you know what she has done, but at this point, we don't know what she's done. She still doesn't want to talk about it. So instead of answering that question, she's like, you know something, don't you, Hazel? Like, you know something. That woman at the party tried to tell me something. Y'all cut her off. Like, what do you know? So Hazel eventually breaks down and tells her about this family that moved in. And I think we talked about it a little bit during the party. The family moved in at the house, and she wound up killing her husband and child. And then I don't think they actually necessarily said what happened to her during the party scene, but in this scene, we get told that after she killed her husband and child, she went to a loony bin. She straight up went to a loony bin. And I kind of love what Hazel says about that. She says that she wound up there because those white folks drove her to kill her family. Which is true. A combination of the bigotry that's going on in this town with the neighbors and this curse on this land could really drive anybody freaking crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Straight up. This is almost like a perfect combination for what devils and demons like. Especially, any demon that likes to make deals with people. They like for you to be weak, isolated, alone. Nothing makes you feel more weak, isolated, alone than being in this beautiful home that you finally bought, but you're being tormented and traumatized by everybody in sight, from your neighbors to your boss to your co-workers to people who you thought were your somewhat friends, but they're not really your friends. They're just neighbors spying on you. You really are in a down depression state, and that's an easy target for demons and everything. So yeah, it's sad. It's sad that they are driven to this point. It truly is. But demons gotta demons, and racist bigots gotta be racist bigots. Apparently, thank God we've somewhat got out of this time. I'm not gonna lie. We still got racism in this world, but it ain't as bad as it used to be. I never lived it myself back in the day, because again, I was born in '93. But from what I've been told, from what we've seen in history, movies, recreations, films, television shows, we know how it was. We've heard how it was. And it's sad that that's how it was. But you know what's... Let me kind of digress for a second. This is why I like this show. I usually have always told people I don't like agenda-filled stories in my movies and TV show. And what I mean by that is, I know you can have agenda in your stories. You can have a message and a meaning into your stories. I don't mind. I don't mind. Everyone's allowed to be creative and passionate in their own ways. As long as you're creative about it. As long as it's just not preaching, bashing, if it ain't just typical stereotypes. This show is not like that at all. It's not typical stereotypes. It's not typical, BS. It is very hard to watch. And it talks about some heavy-handed shit, especially shit at the time. But it is done so beautifully and so well to me. It's crafted well. It ain't like with, The Rookie Season 3. It gets really kind of racy. I'm not gonna lie. There are some moments in the show where I'm just like, where the hell is any of this even coming from? Straight up, where is any of this coming from? And it irks me when you do shit like that. It's like, if you're gonna talk about a message, and if you're gonna say a message, do it nicely. And I don't mean nicely in polite words. I mean nicely in well-written stories and characters and development. Don't just, here's my agenda, now you're gonna like my agenda and bury my fucking face into it. Like, I don't want to be preached at. I come to watch movies and TV shows to enjoy a fantasy world that does not exist in this real world. I think we've all feel that when watching TV shows and stuff. That's why we like horror shit. That's why we like our action. You know, we're not really living. I'm having that moment from Scream. Just leave her alone. Leave her, get it? Anyway, we don't live those types of worlds in actual reality. So we go and watch movies and TV shows like this to escape. Now, when you do have shows that have an agenda, you still want to get your messages across, but you still want to help people escape the reality. And this is done beautifully because of a nice balance between the crazy chaoticness of what the actual racist world was back in the day and of this supernatural entity that has basically cursed this land. That still has some kind of racist tensions here, but it's not bashing over this our heads with it. They're not saying, oh, white people bad, white people must be destroyed. They're not saying that at all. Yes, there are some fucking horrible people in the show. There's some horrible races, but we see not everybody is like that. Not every white person is like that. Like, Betty's husband's not like that. That white guy at the store, he's not like that. And that's actual reality here. Not everybody's a freaking racist. Not everybody's a bigot. Not everybody's a homophobic or a transphobic. Not everybody. Quit clumping and lumping everybody together because of a skin tone here. And this is, like I said, this is why I love this show. Because they know how to talk about this shit without preaching about it. Like, it's still well written. And it's still getting an agenda across, but I don't feel like it's bashing or punching me in the face with it. Granted, though, I feel like there's some lines that have been crossed in the show, so don't get me wrong. There's been some lines that have been crossed, and I feel like certain things probably shouldn't have been said, or seen, or done. But it's still well crafted. Unlike certain other shows that have come out recently that have an agenda and is ruining a very popular icon that I personally love. I'm not going to say any names, but we all know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, you can thank Disney. That's all I'm going to say about that. But like I said, I digress on the whole situation. But after, let me go back to the, sorry, I didn't mean to go on like a long little tangent here, but I do want to talk about how the fact, ow, my knee. I do want to talk about the fact that they do have some really good writing when it comes to, you know, showing off their agenda in the show. Unlike other shows that I've seen, other movies I've seen, like straight up. Anyway, after she is informed about this situation and she's told about the family, Lucky Lily just runs the hell out of Hazel's place. Like, as soon as she's like, oh yeah, she's locked up in a loony bin, Hazel just runs the hell out. Wait. There we go. Alright, damn it. Runs out. There we go. Sorry, I want to get that right. I'm sorry. So after that, we didn't cut to basic bitch Betty. Oh, basic bitch Betty. She's starting to wise up about things. So she wants to get the hell up out of Dodge. So she goes to her bank and tries to get some money. And unfortunately, they cannot give her money because her husband has basically drained the account to only $400, which leaves them with nothing. So they cannot move. They're stuck there. Oh, poor basic bitch Betty. You want me to feel so sorry for you, but I don't. After that, we then cut to Ruby at school. She's with her friend, Darlene. And Darlene, of course, walks up to her and is telling her that she's trying out for cheerleading and that Ruby should join her. And, of course, Ruby is now skeptical of this whole situation. And it's just like, why are you my friend? Why are you talking to me? I have everybody in the whole school. Why me? And she's like, I just like you. Because I see you for who you want to be and who you are. You know, it seems like a very lovely message because, you know, beauty on the inside. Everything always matters that way. But no, this is just demonic demon being a demonic demon. But she basically tells Ruby to meet her in the gym after school so they can do cheerleading tryouts. Lucky then meets with Miss Beaumont, who was the woman who killed her husband and child in the story that Hazel's friend was telling her about that moved into Compton. And this woman straight up batshit crazy. Like I hate to use that term, I really do, but the first words out of her mouth to Lucky was basically, before you kill them, think on how much you will miss them. Like, damn, woman. Why? Why you gotta be so crazy like that? Like, a simple hello, a good afternoon would have done suffice. No. Just, you from Compton? Yeah. Got family? Yeah. Well, you might want to think about them before you kill them. Like, damn. So after that, we then cut to Henry, who just came home and realized he's home alone. So as he proceeds to walk around the house, the TV turns on by itself. So he don't think much of it, and he goes to get a beer and sit down on the couch. Now this scene, I like this scene because it's the tap dancing man. So this is where we actually get a full kind of view of the tap dancing man, because up to this point we don't really know much of the guy. He hasn't really spoken or said too terribly much. He's just kind of been in the background, kind of taunting Henry, just kind of dancing around the TV, on the stage and everything, but hasn't really talked to the man. Now I will say, the actor that plays him, bloody brilliant, man. You did a good job. His name is Jeremiah Burgetts, I think it's his name. Jeremiah Burgetts, Birketts. Fantastic job, man. Fantastic. I love your portrayal of playing this, like, sadistic, Jim Crow-like character, but it's also quite mean. Like, you literally do a good job of splitting the Jim Crow, just that fucking horrible betrayal. Like, you do a great, horrible betrayal of this guy. If that makes any sense. If not, let me just try to break this down. So we all know the tap dancing man, of course, is supposed to be a white man in blackface. That's the whole point of the Jim Crow characters. They're a white man in blackface, and they play that stupid stereotype of, well, I'm sorry, sir. Like, I didn't mean, I ain't that much educated now. Like, I hate that shit. I hate it. Because it's so disrespectful. It's just so disrespectful and disgusting at the same time. Because, like, why you gonna mock people like that? But in the show, it makes sense because Tap Dancing Man is supposed to be like almost the reflection of Henry. And we see that through every kind of encounter with the Tap Dancing Man. This is why I love him, because he is basically playing Henry like a fool. And he's basically saying, you're like me, so don't be like me. Be better than me. Why don't you do this instead? This is why he keeps saying, what you gonna do? Because at a later point, we hear a story about how he lost his fingers. Which is a very typical racist story, I'm gonna be honest. Instead of a cotton field, it was a peach farm. Which I do like that. I like peaches, to be honest. And I'm so glad they didn't go with the horrible stereotype of a cotton field, so I like the peaches. But it's still a racist-ass story, I'm not gonna lie. And of course, because he's portraying a Jim Crow character, he basically speaks like a Jim Crow character, just, yeah, I ain't that smart, sir. Sorry, Mr. Henry, doing all that shit. And what's really great about him is he will go from that, and then suddenly, like, his balls will drop. And I'm not going to say half the shit he says to Henry, because he says the N-word a couple of times. And I don't think it's okay for me to be repeating some of the phrases he says. The point is, he knows when to act like this Jim Crow character, then he knows when to drop the act and basically be the demon that's taunting Henry and reflecting his guilt back to him. And that's basically all this Tap Dancing Man is. And that's basically what everybody is to each other, Like I said, Ruby's got her friend, Darlene, who is basically a reflection of what she wants to be. A beautiful white girl with blue eyes, pale skin, You know, the opposite of her mom. You got Gracie, who is scared of Miss Verna, who I think is supposed to be a representation of a better mom, a better teacher than her mom. Like, that's what I'm kind of gathering, but we'll get there when we get to them actually fighting it out. And, of course, with Lucky, her torment is just the dude in the black hat, or as we find out in episode 9, his name is Epps. But the point is, he's taunting her because she is like, she's got this ability, and even he calls it out, that she can fight off his power, like his influence. Like she knows she's well aware that she's being controlled and manipulated, but she can kind of fight it off, and he doesn't know why. So that's why he's kind of taking this personally, and he's going after with several different tricks up his sleeve. So it's basically this demon is fucking with them with their inner problems. But how they are dealing with the whole situation. And of course, like I said, it doesn't help when you got the racist ass, bigoted ass neighbors across the street next door all taking cheap shots at them while they're struggling. But the tap dancing man, though, it's gotta be one of my favorites because it's just the way the actor portrays him. And he's very intimidating, but goofy. Like, you do hang on to his words, but you're also fearful of how he will be moved, because he's very animated when he moves. He's very, very animated, very cartoonish almost. But again, that was a typical Jim Crow character back in the day. Just very animated and goofy. But anyway, he grabs a beer and he sits down, and as he's sitting down drinking his beer, the TV starts changing the channel. You know, it first starts off with like Father Knows Best, and then it goes to another show, and then it goes to this other show. And this entire time, Henry looks over to his left, there's nobody there, comes back, looks at the TV, and then he starts hysterically laughing at some racist portrayal on the television, I want to say. It was kind of hard to see because it's all black and white and very grainy because of the effect that's going on. But, yeah, he starts laughing, and then you hear Tap Dancing Man start laughing. And, of course, as soon as, you know, he gets done laughing, he looks at him with a straight face, and he's like, "This is my house. What are you doing here?" And then he looks around a little bit, and he's just like, "Well, I do believe it is. Yeah, damn straight. I paid for this house. I own this house. And now they're trying to take it from you. That's all these people do. They take it from you. They taking food out your children's mouth." And then he kind of asks for a beer, and by ask for a beer, he kind of just puts his hand down, and I guess what's left of his fingers to ask for a beer, and he, you know, Henry hands it to him, and I want to know if he actually did this in one fell swoop or not, but he just chugs the beer down to nothing. And then looks at him and goes, "I was awful thirsty, Mr. Henry. Now I can conjugate more proper-like." And what's really, really great about the way he speaks is the expression on his face. He is, like, really, like, accentuating his smile. Like, he's, like, mostly teeth at some point. Like, it's really bizarre. But he's mostly teeth at some point. And, again, very animated with his movement. But after he says that, he starts singing, you know, "What you gonna do? Boom, boom. What you gonna do?" You know, just that very creepy. Just very, very creepy. And as he's doing this, you know, of course, he's like slamming his foot on the ground, you know, making a beat with the song. And Henry, he's feeling these lyrics. He's really feeling these lyrics. Granted, there ain't much of these lyrics, but he's feeling it. And in this is a nice shot, by the way. Very nice shot. It's like a one shot take. You see Henry get up, go around the sofa, go into the back of the house, and the camera kind of follows him just a little bit. He then comes out in the front of the house, and as he goes to walk out, you hear the tap dancing man just say, "Oh, I've seen that face before." And trouble comes behind it, because Henry's got the gun. Henry's got the gun. Because this whole conversation, he was just, the tap dancing man was riling him up about his boss, because he, you know, because of course, you know, his boss is basically pulling for the Pentagon project. You know, he's losing out on a lot of money. So, of course, that is the target he's going after. So, Tap Dancing Man just grinding him down about his boss, going, yeah, your boss really showed you, he took you up because of those percentages. He's taking things from you. So, Henry is going to go fight back. But before we see what Henry's doing, we're going to cut over to Gracie. Now, Gracie's at school. We finally get to see her at school. Ain't for very long, but she's at school. And they're doing the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And, of course, once they get done, she's like, anybody know, it by heart? And, of course, Gracie's like, I do, and runs over there. And she starts to do it, and she does pretty good. Until Miss Werner shows up, and it starts freaking her out. And, of course, she starts stuttering a little bit, and all the kids are giggling and laughing. And the teacher's like, okay, kids, can you calm down? All right, keep going, sweetie. And, I pledge allegiance to the flag, da-da-da-da. And as soon as she, realizes Miss Werner got a little closer, she starts repeating cat in the bag, cat in the bag, cat in, she keeps just saying it over and over and over and over again, to the point that the kids now stop giggling and are now scared of her. And I would be too. Straight up. So, we cut to Lucky, who is now with, or not now, but still with Miss Burdett. Anita, I think was her name. I'm not quite sure. I didn't write down her first name. I wrote down her last name, though. But Ms. Beaumont. And she proceeds to tell her the story of her family. She's just like, when I moved here, I haven't really thought about what my mama said, about some of the words she said. And she used to say, light is bright when all is right. I don't know why, but those words now pop into my head till that night. And that night, we haven't left the home in days. And you see, she's sitting in her living room. They're watching TV, eating TV dinner. She looks into the kitchen, and she sees a bottle of bleach. She grabs we didn't cut to her holding the bleach above her family who are on their knees, and they just keep repeating, all is bright, light is bright when all is right, over and over again as she's pouring the bleach on them. And, of course, it's getting inside their mouth, it's getting on their skin, and this is an old school bleach. So this shit basically killed them, straight up, it basically killed them. They were, writhing on the floor, spitting up blood, no, 100% they're dead. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. And she then tells her, though, that during this whole situation, she was aware that she was being manipulated, but couldn't stop herself, and she was being controlled by the man in the black hat. And, of course, she's just like, well, who's that? I need to know more information. But we don't get to know that information. We didn't cut to Ruby. Ruby meets her little friend at the gym. And, of course, she's like, the boys need the gym for basketball in a bit. So we're going to go into the basement. And all the cheerleaders are down there, waiting for us. And, Ruby, of course, she's still hesitant. But she decides to go. 'Cause that's her friend. She trusts her friend. But we as the audience see, when the camera turns to the door closing, that the cheerleaders are all outside practicing there. Only if she knew, seriously, only if Ruby knew before this incident. But again, we get to watch her go down in a spiral herself. Again, I feel so sorry for her. We then go back to Lucky, who is now picking up Gracie from school because she got that phone call saying that Gracie had an incident. And as soon as she walks in, of course, Gracie's like, I'm sorry, Mom, I do know the words. And the teacher snaps at her and goes, hey, you already said your piece. And, of course, Lucky immediately looks at her in Mama Bear mode. Just, don't talk to my child that way, motherfucker. Don't talk to my child like that. And she proceeds to tell Lucky that she needs to remove Gracie from the class because other kids want an education and she don't think Gracie's ready to be taught. And of course, Lucky's like, what, to be taught by you? No, she's not. She does deserve a better school than this. Come on, Gracie. And, of course, she grabs her and they, right before she goes off, she asks her, does cat in the bag mean anything to you? And, of course, she looks at Gracie, looks back at the teacher, and then just takes the fuck off. We then go back to Ruby. She's in the basement, sitting down with her friends, watching the cheerleaders do their little thing. I kind of like the cheer. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of enjoyed the cheer. It's something about you know what's sad? I can hear the melody in my head, but I cannot think of a single word for that damn cheer, and we hear it a lot. Something about the rising moon and tide and shit. I don't know. It was very catchy though. I liked it though, and the dance with it was pretty nice. I liked the cheer. It was a fun cheer. But in the middle of this, of course, you know, it's time for Ruby to try out. So Ruby just gets in the middle and she starts cheering with them. And it's this whole like beautiful camera moment, very choreographic. Hang on, let me rephrase that because I'm having a stroke here. It's choreographic very beautifully. Because as we see her doing her little cheer stuff, the cameras are going around, and we're catching glimpses of these other girls who are doing the cheer with her, and they're not really doing the cheer with her. They're contorting in weird ways, and like some really fucked up ways, I'm not gonna lie. And Ruby's just oblivious to all this because she's like finally welcomed to open arms. You know, she's enjoying all this. She thinks this is great. She's having a blast. And then we get to cut to actual reality and we just see her smiling and dancing away in the basement all by herself. Because again, none of this is real. We then see Henry at his boss's house trying to snoop on in. You know, he wants to get in. He wants to get vengeance. I'm behind him 100%. And as he goes to the front door, this asshole motherfucker spots him and is like, hey boy, what you doing here? You in the wrong neighborhood. Like, motherfucker, first of all, we the same age, okay? Don't, hey boy, me. Don't do that. Second of all, it's none of your damn business why I'm here. Mind your own business, Doris. No, I'm sorry, it's Patrice. I don't know why I said Doris. I don't even know anyone named Doris. I don't know, maybe that's a new name I just created. Bada bing, bada boom. Point is, asshole accosts him, right? And of course, Henry at first is trying to ignore him. He's looking down, and then the motherfucker's just like, "Hey, look at me when I'm talking to you." And Henry just looks up and goes, "I'm sorry, sir. Maybe I am in the wrong place." And he's like, "I bet you are," because of course he's fucking smoking, because everybody in the 50s always smoked. Yeah, he smokes. He's like, be on your way. And he starts to walk away, and of course, we see Henry walk away. Then we get this really nice overhead shot of watching the guy walk away. Then we see Henry just come out of nowhere and, like, bash him in the back of the head with the gun. Just boom, boom, real hard. The guy gets knocked out. Oh, I laughed so hard during that scene, I'm not gonna lie. We then cut to Lucky and Gracie walking on home, and they're chit-chatting about everything. And she's just like, Gracie, just tell me, where did you learn cat in the bag? Who taught you this? Who said those words to you? How do you know these words? And, of course, Gracie doesn't want to say anything, so she's like, is it Miss Verna? Was it Miss Verna? And, of course, she's like, I promise I will not be mad. You need to tell me who taught you this and what is going on. And as she's trying to have this heart-to-heart moment with her daughter, of course, every fucking white person that's driving by, walking by, skiing on by, just staring away at them. Just, oh my God, look at these people having a heart-to-heart. Everybody look, they're crying. They're crying. Like, seriously, people, stop fucking staring. I get it, they're black. They're in a white neighborhood. Who gives a shit? Like, it's old news. Like, they moved in days ago. It's been over a week. Actually, it has been a week at this point. Get over it. That's all I gotta say. But yet, no, they're still staring. They're still staring away. And, of course, Gracie's just like, Mama, I don't like it here. Like, straight up, just Gracie's like, Mama, I don't like it here. And Lucky's just like, nah, neither do I. That's why we're moving, baby. And then my favorite moment happens right here. I love this moment. Like, I had to rewind this moment 5 times because it made me so happy on the inside. So, basic bitch Betty comes storming out the house, right? She's just like, are you ever gonna clean up this mess? Huh? I'm talking to you. Are you ever gonna do anything? This is uncivilized. And of course, Lucky's just like, yeah, you should know, Miss Wendell, and goes to walk off. and then she says the N-word with the hard R. Just straight up just says it, right? And like everybody stops. Betty stopped, I stopped, Lucky stopped, Grace stopped, the plane, the sky stopped. Like we all just went, oh shit, did she really just say that? And I shit you not. Lucky looked at Gracie, just goes, baby, hold mama's purse real quick. Turned around, and as she's walking to her, Betty goes to say something, but before Betty can get the full sentence out her mouth, Lucky bitch slaps her so hard. I even felt that through the TV. She backhanded her. Like, it wasn't just like a front, no, I'm talking about like full backhand, 90 miles an hour. Like, it was beautiful. Like, it was one of my favorite bitch slaps I ever seen in my life. Like, it was great. It was great. And then Gracie, of course, being the cutest little girl after all that, it's just like, that's right, mama. We beat their asses. And they both walk inside. And of course, Betty's just sitting there just... just freaking the hell out. And she runs to her house. She has a full-on meltdown. I'm talking flipping tables, ripping the wallpaper off, breaking chairs, breaking all the dishes, except for that fucking little peacock statue her dad gave her. I don't know if I made a mention about it in the first part of the podcast. But her dad gave her these little, her dad and her had this set of peacock statues, and they separated them when they parted ways. And apparently she kept one, he kept one. She made a comment saying she threw it out, but we could tell from the fact that she didn't smash it, she never threw it out. It's still there. But she winds up calling somebody on the phone saying, I'm going to need that favor now. We don't know what that favor is. Granted, I know what that favor is. We all should know what that favor is. The only favor that somebody offered her, and that was George, our favorite little milkman. What, that was episode 6? This one really is setting up a lot of the basically climax of the last few episodes. We're getting to that point that we are about to see everyone basically deal with the height of their demons. And this is the whole point of this episode. We get to see that slow climb. And again, we as the audience knows something's up with this house. We know about Miss Verna. We know about Ruby's little friend. We know about this tap dancing. Like, we know that this shit's supernatural. So we are forced to get to basically sit here and be forced to watch these people suffer. Especially when some of them don't know, like Ruby, that they're fake. Like, they're not real people. Like, they're demons fucking with you. But again, they like Epps has got some tricks up his sleeve for Lucky, though. But let's carry on to episode 7, which, funny enough, is titled Day 7 Night. So, we come into a repeat of what happened with Henry, and it's him knocking that guy out. And I love that opening, just him just run up to him and boop, back of the head, like, I love it. So, Henry ends up helping himself inside of his boss's house, and he starts exploring around. And of course he pours himself a drink, and he's listening to the music that's going on in the background. And of course he's not alone. Apparently the boss's wife is there. But she has no clue he's there because she's on her phone, back turned against the door and everything. But Henry's a bigger man than that. He doesn't decide to kill the wife. He just goes to the bathroom and takes a piss in the toilet and then proceeds to leave because boss man ain't there. So, why kill an innocent woman? He's got beef with the boss, not the wife. But it's this whole wonderful, intense scene because you don't know what Henry is capable of and what he's going to do. You're sitting there just like, oh my God, is Henry going to do this? Is he going to attack the wife? No, he's a better man than that. But again, he did initially go in there to kill his boss, which, again, I really wish that would have happened because he killed some other people. There's other people who got killed and deserved it in this show. So then we cut to Betty, and she is full-blown having a meltdown as she drives to the milkman's house. She's at George's house. She runs up there and she's just like, Oh, I need your help. You said you're a man of capable means that you can take care of people. I need you to take care of them. Like that bitch struck me. She hit me. And of course George's like, oh my God, I can't believe she did that. Here, drink this. And hands her a flask. And she starts drinking like she won't stop. Seriously, she won't stop. She's like, she needs that drink, bro. She really needs that drink. But you're seeing that she's basically had a meltdown. She destroyed her house, her perfect house, her facade, her perfect ideal of living is destroyed. And that was the whole point of the destruction scene and watching her meltdown. She even grabbed a knife. I forgot to mention that. She grabbed a knife at one point and was like going to kill her. Like she was saying some pretty racist shit. And she was like, no, I can't kill her, and dropped the knife. But yeah, no, she was up to that point, man. She was up to here. Like she was at 11. And she's still at 11 by the time she gets to George's house, by the way. Like, that hasn't stopped her. But, yeah, no. She basically just said that if the dog bites, it needs to be put down. You know what to do, so I need you to do it. And he's just like, you know what, I'll do it. But why don't we get you inside so you can sit down for a minute, catch your breath. And he walks her inside. We then cut to Lucky and Gracie packing up, getting ready to go. Like that, she's like, Lucky's like, I'm done with this shit. We ain't waiting. Like we gonna wait for Ruby and Henry to get home, and we getting the hell up out of here. Cause I ain't dealing with this house anymore. I'm done with this house. Come on, Gracie, pack up. We leaving. And of course, Gracie's like, why are we leaving? We just have to. But where? Daddy said that this place is nice. This place is good. And she's like, no, baby, baby. We'll move you to a better place, a nicer place than this. Like, we gotta go. And of course, Gracie's just like, it's because I was bad. It's because of me. And suddenly, the whole world stopped, like straight up, because poor Gracie. I don't know why Gracie's blaming herself here, but I guess in the child's mind, when you see, you had an incident at school, and then literally the next scene, your mom strikes a woman and then proceeds to start packing her bags, you might assume it's you. But Lucky responds with, never. It would never be you. You have done nothing bad. You are fine. You're good. Now, please go pack your bags. And of course, Gracie's like, okay, Mommy, I love you. Hugs her and then goes to pack her bags. We follow Lucky down to the basement. And she grabs the CE box that she put down there a few episodes back. We then cut to the cops taking a look at Betty's house. Remember, Betty's house is trashed, destroyed, total, like non-existent. Hang on, I lost my place for a second. There we go. Like I said, her house is, destroyed. And Marty, now something about Marty, I started noticing, rewatching this. I think he had a thing for Betty. The way he hung onto all her words, the way, he spoke about her, that he worshipped her, idolized her even. I think he definitely had a thing for Betty, because he's the only one that's all riled up over here, her husband, Betty's husband's just like, yeah, she's gone, she left her on free will. But Marty's just like, no, those people across the street took Betty. They did something with Betty. I know it. And the cop's just like, first of all, again, this is why I call him nice cop, because again, this is a nice thing he says, but he's doing it all for the bad reason, because of money. He's playing devil's advocate here because of money. But he looks at Marty and goes, now, I know you ain't blaming them because I've seen their lawn. Now, to be honest, I'm assuming it wasn't you because everything was spelled correctly now, wasn't it? And of course, Marty, he don't like this, but he just goes, whatever. This is my family. If this is my family, I'll be doing something about this. And he storms off. And of course, Clark, Betty's husband, has a talk. A little talk with him. Now, this scene, I don't know really how to take this scene. Because it almost is implied that Clark is gay. And I don't have a problem with that. It's just, I don't really think there was any kind of, heavy-handed idea about it. It's one of those subtle things. And I don't know how to take it because, if you watch the show and you've seen Clark and Betty's relationship, you could tell they're not a perfect family, but you know, he's with her, she's in love, he's just in this life. And I've been told some stories that that's how it was back in the day. You know, if you were gay, you couldn't just be gay. You couldn't just be gay and happy. You had to fake it till you died. And that's what it feels like he's doing if this is the case. And the reason why I say that I think he might be gay is because as him and the cop are talking, he's just like, so people were telling me they saw you at a certain bar. Oh, man. Hey, listen, man, I can explain. No. It's cool. I mean, I don't think people need to know about the situation, you know. Any bar looks the same outside of the bar. You know, just make sure you're not at the wrong place at the wrong time anymore, okay? And again, it's never implied or said that he was at a gay bar, but the fact that he's just like, oh, people are saying that they seen you at this bar. Now, like I said, I don't know how to exactly interpret this, but that's my conclusion. That's what I'm assuming because, again, you see Clark and Betty don't have a perfect relationship. You see he's very distant from her. He doesn't really have any kind of sexual moments with her. Like, if you notice, there's no flirtation, there's no beautiful moments, holding hands. Like, she kisses him on the cheek and stuff, but you don't ever see him kiss her. You don't ever see him make a move at her. And again, I think he's just playing this facade because, you know, he's married to a woman and he doesn't like women. But yeah, after that, they we end up cutting to Betty after the cops leave. And Betty, of course, she's in George's house. She wakes up, and George is grabbing some rope. And she's just like, well, are you doing it now? Wait a minute, I want to watch. And then George turns weird for a second. George is like, oh, thank the heavens, you know, if a man could die happy, strike me down now, Lord. You know, I always thought this couldn't happen, but here you are. And I'm just like, the first time I ever watched this, I was just like, is he really this happy about killing some people? No, turns out he's obsessed with Betty. You find out as he's talking to her that he drugged her with the alcohol he gave her, and he is completely in love with Betty. He's obsessively in love with Betty, and it's gonna kill him whether he likes it or not. He just, yeah, who didn't see that shit coming a mile away? I totally didn't. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like seriously, they really could have been a little bit more subtle about that. But you know, I appreciate the twist right here. Yeah, I appreciate the twist that no, he ain't gonna help her kill somebody. He's just gonna mentally fuck with her for a little while. And I love it because that's really her just desserts. Like the fact that she's been mentally tormenting Lucky and her family, for her now to turn around and get kind of justice brought back on her, you know. Now she's stuck with this crazy guy who's basically forcing her to love him for the rest of her life. Either that or die trying. One of the two. After she passes back out again, we cut to Lucky, who called over Hazel, and they're chit-chatting, and she's like, we need to leave, and of course she's like, Lucky, leaving isn't going to bring Chester back. Look at him, baby, look at him. And she goes to his picture and brings it to him, just look at him. He's gone. He's gone. The good Lord has him in his arms. Oh, cry it out, baby. And she hugs him, and of course, you know, Lucky starts crying. And at first, I was just like, okay, you know, she got a little religious out of nowhere, but, you know, good for her. Because I'm going to be honest, I forgot about this twist with Hazel here. I'm not even going to lie. I completely forgot about it. And when I was rewatching it the other night for this podcast, I was just like, oh. Like, I totally forgot about this one. We then cut to Henry, who's now at the diner, or he's pulling up to the diner with Life Could Be a Dream. Now, if you don't know the song in particular, watch the movie Clue. That song's in the movie Clue. It's during the scene where the cop's looking around and he's seeing the different rooms, what everybody's doing, and he thinks everybody's swinging. Because there's all these dead bodies everywhere. Love that movie. Love that movie. Seriously, if you ever want a good Tim Curry movie, Clue is where it's at. That is like a funny, hands down, funny ass movie I've ever seen in my life. I love it. I can quote it. It's one of my favorites. Anyway, that song's playing as he's pulled up, and Henry's getting coffee, and the tap dancing man is there. And he's just, again, you gotta remember, he's not real, so Henry is kind of, talking a little too much with him. I'm surprised no one asked any questions, but I guess they were talking low enough that no one paid attention. But Tap Dancing Man looks at him as he's stirring his coffee, and he's like, don't let them know you're thinking. You like to get us killed. Now, that's something else I noticed, that he uses the pronoun us a lot. He's like, oh, you're going to get us killed. What are we going to do about this? Kind of making him, again, fuse himself in with a tap dancing man. If you are me, I am you kind of scenarios. And, of course, Henry looks at him and kind of points to his fingers and is just like, how'd that happen? And then we get to hear the story. He's like, sometimes you want a nice, juicy peach. That story. That's the nice, juicy peach story. He proceeds to talk about how he was working on a peach farm. And sometimes while working on that peach farm, you just want a nice, juicy peach. And, of course, Henry's just like, I don't like sweets. Oh, you like sweets when you work those fields. Do you work those fields? Are you? I'm not going to say the rest of that line, but we all know what he says. He then continues on with the story, saying that one day, while working these fields, his buddy passed out because of the heat of the sun. And in the fritz of the moment, he decided that maybe some nice peaches would help him up. So he goes out. He doesn't go pick no peaches. Oh no, he goes get the rotten ones, the ones that fell off the tree, the ones on the ground. He grabs a couple of them and brings them to his friend, and that wakes his friend right up. And of course they eat and everything is all good until the boss man came in. Boss man knows all the peach pits on the ground. He's just like, now who's been eating all my peaches now? And of course nobody's gonna say anything because they're all scared. But not old tap dancing man. No, he said, I spoke up and I said, well, sir, it was me. I'm the one who brought us some peaches. Just the ones that fell off anyway. And what makes you think that, and who do you think owns those peaches? Well, the good Lord, of course. There's not a crow that flies across this land that isn't mine. This is all mine, and you shouldn't have. Well, I'm awfully sorry, sir. And, of course, he asked, well, how many peaches did you steal? So I held up my fingers. And then, of course, that is how he lost his fingers. Apparently, he cut off every finger for the amount of peaches he stole. Now, whether or not this is a real story that's from an actual character that maybe the demon's using, because that's something I thought of, that maybe the demon is purposely using these faces not only to personally attack each individual family member, but these were other victims from different time periods or different other areas or something like that. I really don't know. I really want to know why some of these choices. Like, my theory, why the tap dancing man, is because it's the quintessential definition of, like, the most racist thing you can think of when you think of 1950s racism. It's a Jim Crow figure. And that's, like, the epitome of bullshit that everybody used to laugh at back in the day. So, of course, I would assume Henry would see, tap dancing man as a good, counter. Because of the fact that this is how the world sees him, so will he see himself like this? And with Ruby, when it comes to her friend, again, like I want to say I said it earlier, her being white, blonde hair, blue eyes, that bullshit, that's the epitome of what she wants. So, I mean, that's my thought on the whole thing about, why the Jim Crow figure. but I don't know where the story comes from, and that could be just a random story he created just on the top of his head. I have no idea, to be honest. But Henry, after hearing the story, just goes, well, that was me. You wouldn't have done a damn thing. You saw what I did, he repeats. What I could do. Henry could have done something, but he didn't. And, of course, Tap Dancing Man looks at him and goes, oh, could you? Well, I mean, he wasn't home. As always, it seems to be the case. You at the wrong place at the wrong time, Mr. Henry. Like that time those crackers did what they did to Miss Lucky, to that boy. And, of course, Henry, he's getting upset by this. He starts crying. And I kid you not, as soon as he starts crying, Tap Dancing Man slams his hands on the table, and it's just like, you better stop that before I kill you. And he says some other choice words that I will not repeat either. And then Henry stops and sees the cops in the background. They're just doing their whole thing, but he looks at them, and Tap Dancing Man looks at him and goes, is you scared? You know, a black man's heaven is a white man's what? And of course he smiles real big, very animated, like I said. And Henry just looks at him and just goes, hell. Ooh, boy, I'm sure you're right. And of course they both start laughing. And of course, because Tap Dancing Man is real, it's only Henry maniacally laughing at himself in this diner as everyone's kind of staring. Because they were staring at a handful of times, because during the story, you know, as they were talking, of course, they start laughing and slapping the table together. And of course, was disturbing the other patrons. But again, the fact that nobody else sees this Tap Dancing Man but Henry makes him look a little crazy. We then cut to Lucky and Hazel, and they're praying. I don't mean just like, Heavenly Father, you know, please protect us. No, I don't mean that. I mean, it's one of those crazy, they're on their knees, their arms are up, just Jesus, protect us, protect our loved ones. Oh, Lucky, we have Cloverfields and honeys are waiting for us. They want to poison our babies and kill our sons, but we won't let them, Lucky. We won't let them. We are the mothers and must do the work of the fathers now, Lucky. We must protect. Like, I'm talking about, like, it's like some crazy praying up in here. Like, it's one of those fun churches, too. You know, you want to get up and start dancing and shit. Well, as, that's going on, we then cut to Bull, you know, that cop, the nice cop, I should say, driving around, and so is Henry, as Hazel continues on her prayer. So we're intercutting between the prayer, Bull driving around, and Henry driving around. Gracie then comes in, and it's just like, Mama, what you doing? We're praying, baby, we're praying. Who's praying? And then the camera kind of tilts a little bit, and we see Hazel, because Hazel's slightly behind Lucky when, Gracie comes in. But when the camera tilts, we see the rest of Hazel's face. It's deformed and fucked up. Hazel's not even Hazel. It's a figment of the imagination. It's Epps fucking with Lucky. And it fucked with me too, because again, I forgot about this shit. Because the whole time she's praying and going crazy, I'm just like, I understand, the turn to God in a time of need, but Hazel, this is like a 180 flip. I don't remember this shit. This is why I don't remember this shit, because it didn't happen. It was just Epps fucking with her. We then cut to Doris and Ruby, and they're giggling in the basement as she's putting makeup on Ruby. And she's like, what do you want, Ruby? What do you want? And Ruby looks at her and goes, I want it off of me. I want Mama off of me. I want all of them off of me. I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be ugly anymore. I want to be beautiful like you. And then, of course, Doris leans in and kisses her, and she kisses her back. And Ruby's eyes are closed during this whole situation, but she looks at Ruby and goes, open your eyes. Open your eyes and you'll see. As soon as Ruby opens her eyes, she sees herself white. She sees herself all pretty, and she looks at the mirror, and she sees herself with blue eyes, and of course, we cut to what's really going on. Now, I don't know if Ruby is fully aware of what she's doing in this situation, or if this is just the demon fucking with her and kind of controlling her to do this, and she's just imagining herself white with Doris. But she sees a white paint can, and she sticks her hand down into it, and then picks it up, and of course her hand's just covered in white paint, and she's looking at it and admiring it. And then we cut to the pep rally that's going on upstairs, and of course everybody's on the move, they're cheering, and then suddenly we see everyone kind of stop and gasp as the crowd starts splitting like the Red Sea, and then Ruby walks up covered in paint, basically painted her face white. She painted herself white. She's white facing over here, and everybody's just in gas and horror. And I'm like, good motherfuckers, y'all deserve to look at this shit, because this is what y'all done to her. Y'all have traumatized her to the point that she wishes she was white so y'all will accept her. Like, this is bullshit, and I hope this sits in your image for the rest of your life and give you fucking nightmares. Maybe it will teach you to be a better fucking person. Granted, I would say that if this was a real situation. Granted, I know it's a TV show, but the point is, it's fucked up. It's fucked up that this poor girl is being traumatized to the point that she has painted herself white and is dancing in front of everybody, picturing herself white. And as soon as everybody's just staring at her and gawking at her, speechless, she comes back and realizes what the hell is going on. Like, seriously, it's just like come to Jesus moment for her. We then cut to Lucky bringing Gracie to the basement, and they're talking about Chester. She's like, listen, baby, I know I don't talk about him much, but I just want you to know I loved him and I loved you, and it's all going to be okay. And I know you miss him. And then, of course, Lucky disappears in the back of the basement, and Gracie's just like, Mama, I don't like it down here. It's cold. Can we go back up? And then Lucky comes out with a fucking axe, like freaking Jack from The Shining over here. And we see the tall man with the black hat, Ep, standing around Gracie. And he's influencing her. He's telling her what to think and what to do. He's like, oh, you think you're better than Moses? You think you're better than Abraham? You think you're better than everybody else? You think you're better than a Christian? Like, you don't know any better. You must cleanse them of their sins. And, of course, being kind of brainwashed and manipulated over here. Lucky's just like, Gracie, I just gotta save you, baby. And poor Gracie winds up on the stairs just cornered as Lucky's holding the axe above her with the guy Epps talking in her fucking ear. And she's just like, Mama, please don't do this. Mama, I'm sorry. I love you. Please, I'm sorry. I'll be a good girl. I promise. And then Lucky's just like, yeah, no, baby. It's going to be okay. I just got to save you. She goes to swing, and she misses. She misses because she comes to Jesus real quick and purposely misses Gracie so she doesn't hurt her baby girl. And she's just like, baby, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I would never have hurt you. And Gracie, without missing a beat, she's just like, you tried to kill me, though. And she's like, baby, I'm so sorry. It wasn't me. Quick on her feet, she's like, it was Miss Verna. It was Miss Verna. Miss Verna was next to you, so I chopped that bitch's head off. And then we hear Ruby coming in from upstairs, just, Mama, I think something's wrong with me. And of course, she comes in covered in paint. We then cut to Bull finding Henry and pulls him over and goes to ask him a question. He's like, man, you're the man I've been looking for all night. I need to talk to you. And starts asking about, Betty's whereabouts, have you seen her? And of course he's like, no, we never really talked. I don't really know her. We haven't really said anything. And he's like, well, she's missing and we're awfully worried about her. And he says, I hope that bitch is okay. Well, excuse me? I said I hope everything is okay. I'm sure if this was your family, I'm sure you would want things to be safe, He's trying to trying to play that card right there. Just, I'm sure. So could you tell me anything that you might want to, that you might want to tell me, something you might have seen? And he goes, no, not my place to say anything, but I have seen some stuff. Well, you're going to say it? No, it's not my place. They already don't like me. I don't want to start talking no shit now. And he's like, well, what if this was your wife? Speaking of, how is she? She's still, not all the way there. Maybe I'll go talk to her. Maybe I'll go see what's going off and see if she knows anything. And before the man could even react, Henry just pulls out his gun and guns him down in the street. No tears shed on my behalf, just saying. And as that's happening, you see the tap dancing man in the back of Henry's car, and he's like, woo-hoo-hoo, now why did you do that? Why? And of course, Henry's just like, why did I just do that? Why did I just do that? Holy shit. And he starts looking around and realizes nobody saw anything. Nobody heard anything. So he just drives the fuck off. So then we see Marty, who he's all riled up. He wants to know, where everybody's at. He wants to know where Betty's at. And he's got the gun all ready. He's just waiting. He's just waiting for the moment Henry comes in. And they're trying to talk him out of it. They're just like, hey, man, yeah, so what you gonna do? Go over there and make a fool out of yourself? Like, just leave the family alone, man. They know where Betty's at. I know they know where Betty's at. And then, of course, as soon as they said, well, he's not home, Henry comes home. And he comes busting on into the house. He's like, honey, baby, we gotta leave. And then he sees Ruby covered in the paint as her mom's cleaning her off. And they're like, we gotta go. Like, we can't stay here anymore. And like, yeah, let's get our bats. Let's go, baby. And they all rush to the car. And of course, Marty's like, wait a minute, they're trying to flee. And he comes out there and he pulls out the gun. And this is after a long struggle of Betty's husband trying to fight him off. But he pulls out the gun. He looks at him. He's like, tell me where Betty's at. Come out here and talk to me. And of course, the girls are screaming. They're freaking out. And Henry's taking his sweet-ass little time because he gets distracted while grabbing the bags. It's the CE box. He walks over to the box, and he opens the box, and he sees what's inside the box. Now, we're all screaming, what's in the box? Why is this box important? We know there's a blanket in here. We don't know what's in this box. But once you know, man, you know what's in that box. But as soon as we cut back to outside, after Henry opens the box and like starts messing with the blanket, you hear him screaming from inside, and everybody stops and looks at him. And he looks at Lucky holding the skeleton remains of his son. She's brought Chester with her. She couldn't leave Chester. He even asked her. He's just like, what have you done? What have you done? Why? Why? She's just like, I couldn't leave him. I couldn't leave him. And they start crying. We're all crying. We see this poor little baby's remains wrapped up in a little blanket. Like, oh my God. It was like, that was a shocker. Like, I'm not going to lie. I was completely shocked that first time I ever saw that episode where he walked out with Chester's body. I was just like, I can't believe she'd been carrying around this dead baby. But this is her dealing with the trauma. But now in that episode, because that's the end of that episode, now we've hit the climax, the top of the mountain. We've done, Ruby's done made a fool of herself. Gracie's done made a fool of herself. Lucky's done made a fool of herself. Henry he's on top. Like, this is it. We hit the top, especially going into this next episode. We're about to hit the peak. This is the peak of the episodes. This is the peak right here. And then we go on that nice slow decline to the climax and then the finale. So let's move on to episode 8, entitled Day 9. We start off with the song, He's Got the Whole World in His Hands. And it's Lucky in the mental institution that Beaumont was in. The chick she was talking to with earlier. And of course, this doctor is rubbing me the wrong way. Like 7 ways from Sunday, this doctor's just like, now, Lucky, I see the thorax is doing pretty good on you now. And she's like, when can I see my family? And then she stands up and she's like, now, Lucky, what did I say about getting excited now? I ain't getting excited. Yes, I know you ain't getting excited. Well, why don't you keep playing with her? Talking to another inmate. You know, just keep teaching Miss Lucky things around. And of course, Lucky corrects her and goes, "It's Emery, Miss Emery to you." Well, Lucky, we on first name basis here, okay? And she's like that uppity, snippety bitch who thinks she's better than everybody because she's a white bitch in charge. She's literally a white bitch in charge. She thinks she's better than everybody. And my other problem with her is apparently she purposely singles out black women and gives them electric shock therapy. Like, straight up. Gives them electroshock therapy. And it's never said, but you could tell from some of the women walking around, they got burn marks on the side of their heads. And I know that's from electroshock therapy back in the day. And that's kind of fucked up that she thinks she's helping these women out, basically fry their brains so they're more docile. Like, air quotes around that bullshit. Like, fuck this bitch. I'm glad she got what she got. We all know. I'm going to say it. I'm going to talk about it 2 episodes earlier. But I'm so glad Lucky beat the ever-loving fuck out of that bitch. Like, just straight up grabbed her and bashed her head against that wall. I cheered so hard. I'm not even going to lie. I cheered. I stood up. I gave a standing ovation because fuck that bitch. Fuck her. Anyway, after that, she tries to talk we cut to Henry trying to talk, to Lucky, because he wants to talk to her, Lucky wants to talk to him, but she, the doctor bitch is just like, oh no, that would mess with her recovery. She shouldn't be around family right now. Right now, you need to worry about healing yourself, focus on your girls. Don't worry about Lucky. I got Lucky. It's all good on my end. Like, just worry about yourself. And of course, he can't say shit because there's a big, strong dude in the back just standing over him, just waiting for an excuse to beat his ass. So, unfortunately, he doesn't know any information. They won't tell him any information. They won't tell him that about Lucky, the treatments or anything. I think that's so sad. We then got to basic Betty, who's being held captive by George in this makeshift bunker outside of his land. And she's just in shock by this whole thing, and again, he's all enamored with her. Apparently, he's tied her up at some point. She's got rope burns on her arm because she's been struggling. And he's trying to, put some kind of weird gel or something on it as he's talking to her, going, I love you, I'm so glad you're here. This is great. And she's just in shock about this whole thing. And I'm just like, good. Let your brain melt a little bit. Let you suffer for a little bit longer. And, of course, she ain't feeling this shit, though. She jerks her hand back real fucking quickly, and George is like, don't worry, you'll learn to love me. And if not, well, it's gonna be a long road. And he just leaves. He just dips the fuck out. Like, straight up. Like, I just, she deserves this. 100%. She deserves this. His love is so crazy that he made a replica of a house in this bunker with matching wallpaper that she has in her house, and even bought her clothes. He bought her clothes, and he said, I bought you more stuff in pink because you don't wear enough pink. Like, bro, that's obsession 101 right there. Like, that man's crazy. We then cut to Marty, and him and his wife are arguing because she wants to move, but he don't want to move. He's empowered by the words of Betty that she said at her HOA meeting. And he's just like, I want to fight for our home, for our place, just like Betty said. And then they get interrupted when his buddy, I can't think of his buddy's name. I think I wrote it down as Paul, but I don't think his name is Paul. I can't think of the fucktard's name, but he's not important because he gets an axe to the back later. The point is, he comes busting on in here, and he's just like, bro, what did I say about knocking? He's like, oh, you want to see this? And he pulls up a newspaper, and it's basically about the cop that got shot by Henry. And again, nobody knows it was Henry, but they're like, it was a gangland shooting. And they're like, oh, don't, and they totally assume it's Henry, even though their assumption is correct. They don't have any proof that it was Henry. So just remember that for the ending. Like, there's no proof that Henry killed this cop. There's no evidence. There's no words. There's no, like, witnesses to any of this. Like, basically, Henry could and probably did get away with that murder. But after that, they decide, hang on a second. Yeah, I wrote his name down as Paul, but I don't think his name is Paul. I think it's like something else. But, yeah, no, this is when I noticed really Marty's obsession with Betty herself. The fact that he keeps repeating her words and he's speaking so high. He seems to be the only one giving a fuck that she's missing. Nobody else seems to care except for him, who's been eating her words because they're basically on the same wavelength. I mean, think back to that first little party meeting they had. And Marty was rounding up his friends, and she was rounding up the girls. They were both talking the same bullshit, but it was only them two on the same wavelength just about. Well, them two and Marty's stupid-ass friend, whose name I cannot remember. Because, again, I'm pretty sure it's not Paul. I think it's something else. Anyway, we then cut to Lucky, who goes to see Arnett Beaumont and talk to her about Epps, you know, the man in the black hat. And she's like, I've seen him too. He's talked to me. And before she can ask any more questions, the orderly comes and interrupts them and pulls her out of the room. And he seems kind of genuine, not that bright, but kind of genuine towards Lucky. He's like, you know, the doctor lady, she just wants the nice things for you. And I don't want to get you in trouble. And I don't want to get myself into trouble. And she's like, well, I don't want any trouble, I promise, but can I at least get a phone call to call my family? I want to talk to my family. And he's like, well, I'm sure if you asked a nice doctor lady, she would definitely let you get that phone call, especially if she doesn't see no wrong reason not to. And she even asked, you know, in a demand, not demand, but like a pleading, begging way, you know, when it came to this phone call. She was like, what if this was you? What if you were locked in here for days and couldn't get in contact with your family? What would you do? Well, I would fight tooth and nail to get out to talk to them, but again, that's me. You know, he wishes he could help, but he can't. And again, I don't think he's that bright because of the way he's like, oh, doctor lady, you know, he's a very simpleton kind of conversationist to have. So I don't know if he also got electroshock therapy at some point, but the point is, he's somewhat nice. He's just doing his job. He ain't a racist piece of shit. He ain't the nicest guy we've seen, but he ain't a racist piece of shit. And that's saying something about some of these folks in the show. So then we cut back to George and Betty spending time together. He's got this nice fancy dinner scene going on. You know, he's got candles and wine and all this shit. And Betty at first seems to be playing along. You know, she's smiling, she's faking, she's got all dressed up and everything. And as he pours the champagne, she's just like, oh, well, I generally take it with some ice. He's like, let me go get some ice then. And he starts like berating himself as he goes up the ladder to get the ice, saying, well, if you want a perfect life, you got to do it perfectly now, don't you? And it's like, bro, you're putting too much pressure on yourself for a relationship that is not going to last very long. But I guess, you know, she's contemplating, she's debating on what to do in this situation because she don't know what to do. She's been kidnapped by who she thought was a good friend. Turns out he just madly, obsessively in love with her. Do I feel sorry for her? Nah, I don't. Anyway, Henry then comes home with the family, with Gracie and Ruby to pack up and grab some stuff because they've been staying at Hazel's place for a little while. So they're not staying long. And as he goes to to, I guess explore the rest of the house, just to see all the bags and, memories they're going to be leaving behind. And the girls runs to the other room. He gets knocked out by Marty and his friend with a baseball bat. I don't know why we keep going back and forth, but we're back again with Betty and Grace and Betty and George's date, and she, comes up with a good conclusion. Like, she can't live it here forever. Then maybe she come live up there on the farm with him. Trying to do that whole Stockholm syndrome thing a little too quickly. And he, he's like, you're right. If I want a perfect, wife, I gotta make sure you're comfortable and happy. And she goes, yeah, that's great. That's great. And he's like, well, this is true love. I know you would stay. Yeah, this is true love. And she goes to clean up, and she grabs the corkscrew and then stabs this man in the neck, right? Stabs him in the neck. He's not even phased. He's just like, so, is that really how you feel about that? Okay, yeah, I see. They say that true love is never smooth, but if it's true, it will be amazing. But if it's not, it will hurt. And he just walks the fuck out. Like, bro got stabbed in the neck with a corkscrew and it just walks that shit off nonchalantly. Either he is a very strong bionic man that we are not aware about, or she just didn't stab him very far in the neck. She didn't, maybe she raised it a little bit, maybe got the tip in or something. But she needed to twist that bitch in a little bit. She wanted to get the hell up out, but she did not. She just stabbed him and just kind of stared at him for a minute. Like, no, bitch. When you rule number 1, if you're gonna stab somebody with a corkscrew, stab them, then twist it in, because that's the whole point of a corkscrew. Remember that. 101. You didn't hear it from me, though. Just saying, you didn't hear it from me. But when he leaves the bunker, he doesn't lock the door. That's the key element here. He doesn't lock the door and basically leaves it all up to Betty, saying, Betty, if you love me, you will come to my house and live with me for all of eternity. It should be great. Betty, if you don't love me, you'll leave. But it's going to be hard. And we all know what happens. Henry then wakes up tied up to a chair, and the girls are all screaming because this bastard, I'm going to say it correctly too, this fucking bastard Marty's got a gun to Gracie's head. The child, that pussy-ass coward has a gun to a child's head. Pardon my French on that, but it's true. I'm sorry. You're a real fucking coward if you're hiding behind a child. And that's exactly what he's doing. And he's just like, so where's Betty? And of course, he's like, I don't know where Betty is. We never spoke. Oh, Earl. His buddy's name is Earl. That's his name. Not Paul. Earl. I knew at some point I wrote it down. But anyway, Henry doesn't know anything. So Marty tells Earl to take Gracie to the basement. Because at first I thought something else was going to go on, because he looks at Ruben and he goes, you're pretty, how old are you? I'm 14. What is that, in dog years? You seem ready. Like, that seemed like it was going somewhere fucking else, and I was just praying to God the entire time, the first time watching this, that it was not going to go there. I was just like, please, God, I got traumatized enough in episode 5. Do not traumatize me anymore, please. So help me, God. But it didn't go that way. They make Ruby cook dinner as Earl goes and grabs all the knives and brings them in. And, of course, he's just demanding to know where Betty's at. And they're trying to have a little, and Henry's trying to talk to him, man to man, have a little bit of a small talk. And he ends up explaining about his wife, because he's just like, your whole family's messed up. Your wife killed your baby, and he's like, she didn't kill my baby. Then what happened to your baby? Some cracker ass assholes like you killed him. Like, straight up. And of course the dude just looks at him, kind of, and then taps him on the back of the shoulder, and then just goes off about his business. Like, bro, he just told you his baby was murdered. Could you at least show some fucking emotions, please? Nah, just, okay. Good to know, like, okay, maybe your wife's not crazy. Motherfucker, this is why no one likes you, Marty. This is why nobody likes you. We then cut to Lucky, who is begging to speak to our family, and the doctor bitch lies. The doctor bitch is just like, oh, your family doesn't want to see you. Your family, they're scared of you. They don't want to talk to you. And she's just like, that's a lie. That's a lie. Like, she flips the fuck out. Especially when she's like, well, I treated women like you who went through far much worse, and we all know, what happened with your baby. And she's like, you don't know anything, and starts yelling at her to speak to her family. And of course, the orderly comes in and starts taking her away. She's screaming. And this bitch has the audacity to just go, I have hope you weren't this far gone. Meaning she was just waiting for any little outburst just to give her electroshock therapy. Like, straight up. Like, she was just waiting for any little outburst. She just needed a reason. She's like, give me one excuse. One reason to do this to you. Like, just one little outburst. That's all I want. Like, I hate doctors like that. Like, you're not curing your patients. You're not helping your patients. You're just making them docile puppets. Because you don't know what you're fucking doing. Well, shit, no. She doesn't know what she's actually fucking doing. She's not an actual doctor. I'm sure she got her degree from a bullshit college. I'm sure she got it online. That's it. She got it online. She got a little doctorate online about this shit or something. Because that's just some bullshit. After that, we cut back to Henry, still trying to talk to Marty man to man, going, listen, man, I understand what you're trying to do. You want to protect your family. I want to protect my family. And I know you feel like you failed. I think I'm doing a fine, good job. I'm protecting my family just fine. Really, bro? Because you in his house acting the fool? You in his house panicking because you don't like these people who have done nothing to you. Because you're obsessed over a woman who's already married. Like, I'm sorry, like, they don't say that he's obsessed, but the way he hangs on to every word Betty says, it's just bullshit. It's just simply bullshit. And there is no reasoning with this man. Like, I respect Henry for trying to reason with him man to man, just like calm him down. Because, not only is his life in danger, because this man might have an itchy trigger finger, but his children, his girls are in danger. So he's trying to be leveled with him. And the Marty's just not having it because Marty's an asshole. Like, fuck Marty. Like I said, fuck that guy. And as, he's talking, Marty proceeds to blame Henry for everything. He's like, yeah, I was protecting my family just fine. We're doing this great until you showed up, till your family showed up. Like, bro, you're the ones overreacting. You're the one overreacting. Not Henry, but okay, whatever makes you sleep better at night, princess. We then see the tap dancing man sitting there in the corner kind of laughing to Henry because Marty is looking at the knives and he picks up a pair of scissors. And he goes up to Henry and demands him to open up his hand. Otherwise, he's going to shoot Ruby now. Motherfucker hiding behind children. Like I said, a coward. And his buddy, whatever, Earl, yeah, his buddy, little fucktard Earl, yeah, that guy, equally as much as a coward. So, he's just like, I don't know where Betty's is. I don't know. And he's like, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. And he cuts one of Henry's fingers off and he screams. Oh, and you hear the tap dancing man, of course, laughing in the freaking corner, just like, bro, why is this funny to you? Why? Why, you circus asshole? They then take him to the basement, pulling Ruby along. Poor Gracie's already down there, and they basically are watching a lynching. They tied Henry up. They start trying to hang him from the rafters. It's horrible. And, of course, the girls are screaming, and they're panicking. They're trying to fight. Like, Gracie's trying to fight back. Like, she tries to bite him and shit. And he's like, get the fuck away from me, you child, and, like, pushes her back and shit. And it's a scary scene. Because, my whole thing is, holy shit, they really gonna kill him in front of his kids? Like, that's fucked up. But unfortunately, before we get to see any of that kick-ass shit, because trust me, it gets better. It gets better. We cut to Lucky. Lucky wakes up tied to her bed. Now, this is an important scene here, because this is when we actually get to talk. Like, we have a full conversation with Epps. Like, during episode 5, when she attacked Gracie with the axe, of course, we got to see him a little bit more, and we got to see his power of manipulation over Lucky. Now, this is him actually talking to Lucky, and basically laying out what the hell is about to happen. Lucky wakes up tied to her bed, and there's an orderly there, and the orderly's just like, yeah, they want to do a procedure on you, and it's gonna make you feel better. It's gonna make it all right. You know, you don't have to worry about anything ever again. And as he's talking, he turns into Epps' fucked up monster creature form, and starts talking to her, and he's just like, oh, Black Sal, only if you minded me, what black magic do you have that causes you to fight against me? What can you do? What is this trickery you have? Because, again, like I said, she's able to, be manipulated by him, but then also break the control. Like, she is fighting tooth and nail against this man, and it mind boggles him, because he's just like, man, what is this power? Like, you are a fighter. And she's just like, leave my family alone. Don't touch my family. And he's just like, oh, by the time I leave you from this place, your family will already be in a conundrum. Your strength impresses me. So I will leave you with this gift of mercy. I would let them take your brain so you can forget you ever had a family. The mercy is near. So enjoy your time, basically, is how he finishes up that speech. But yeah, he basically tells Lucky that he doesn't know what kind of magic power she has. He doesn't realize she's a strong, independent woman. She's a strong, black, female woman, and she does not bend to his will. And that really bothers him. And he doesn't know this shit. But there's nothing he can do about this shit. So he's going to leave her with the act of mercy to get basically electric shock therapy while he goes and fucks with her family. And basically told her to enjoy the rest of her time because her time is near. This procedure is coming. Now, like I said, we're at the peak of the climax. Henry's in trouble. Henry's doomed, he's being lynched in the basement. The girls are watching this shit. Lucky is about to have a procedure done to her that's gonna make her a docile creature. And she knows that this black bitch is not gonna help her. I mean, not black bitch, I'm sorry. Dr. bitch. Sorry, my bad. Like, straight up, that was my fucking bad. Dr. bitch. She don't know Dr. bitch is being a fucking bitch. And it's just attacking people because they're black and they're women. And it's fucked up. And she knows this. And Dr. Bitch is well aware of this shit. So that's why she's doing the shit she's doing. 'Cause she think no one's going to stop her. But she don't know the power of fucking Lucky. Lucky is a beast. She is a goddess. Like, straight up. I love Lucky's redemption in episode 10. Unfortunately, when it comes to episode 9, we're going to take a step back to the past. Way past. This episode is a whole backstory of who Epps is and what his whole shtick is and why he's doing what he's doing. Because we learned why the Emorys left their home. We know what happened to Lucky. We learned what happened to Lucky, the family. We're learning about their PTSD and their guilt and the bullshit they're dealing with on the outside. Now we get to learn about Epps and what he was going through. And this episode is all in black and white, by the way. And it's called Covenant 2, which is a continuation kind of to the episode 5, which is called Covenant. And I like this because, again, a covenant is a special bond. It's a sealed deal you can't get out of. And this is why when you join a witch's cult, you know, you don't really just walk away from that shit. You know, it's a covenant for a reason. The point is, this is the deal. This is their covenant. We learned about Lucky's covenant with her family and how she and Henry got fucked up and ruined, or got their covenant ruined. And now we get to see how this motherfucker ruins his own covenant, his own community, and his own people. So we start this episode with Epps praying to God. Or let me rephrase that. We start this episode with a quote from the Bible. It's Psalms 133:1. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. Which, I like this quote from the Bible. I like this one from Psalms, to be honest. Because it's basically saying, look how beautiful and peaceful this world is if we can all be together and get along as one, instead of as separate, individual, divisive things. I interpretate this quote as, we're all happy and God's people are happy if we live together in unity and in peace. And that's the whole point of Epps. He originally started his community in a godly way. He lived his life by the book of the Lord, and he welcomed many into his arms. He does not look at skin tone or color or anything like that. He's just a man of God. Unfortunately, a man of God who got fucked over, but he could have, walked himself into that one. I'm not going to lie. But after that, we then cut to Epps praying over two graves. And he is praying and asking God, why? Why did you take my family? Why did you take my boy? Why did you kill them and leave me alone? I don't want no kindness from my people. The community is making me sick with their kindness. They're all pitying me. They're all trying to be kind to me. I don't want their kindness. I want to know. I will shake the very foundation of this world to know why you took my son from me. Why did you leave me alone in this world? I'm not demanding. I'm not asking. I just want to know. And of course, God does not answer. Because God doesn't answer like that. It's not like he comes down and talks to you like you're on a phone call with Jesus or something. Just, hey bro, listen, about your family. My bad, man. My bad. The good die young and all that shit. And, this is a test and a trial for your faith in humanity or faith in me or whatever, It's good luck, have fun, bye, click. We don't know how this whole God thing works. He just does things. But God doesn't answer him, so he proceeds to start walking away. He then gets compelled to wander in a certain direction, and as he wanders into this direction, he sees a little boy curled up underneath the tree in a fetal position, very scared. And he just looks at this boy and just goes, doesn't ask the boy's name, doesn't ask the boy's okay, doesn't ask, where are your parents, just looks at him and goes, I should call you Miles now, because it means something. I didn't write it down, but it means something. Because my prayers have finally been answered. Like, bro, what do you mean your prayers have been answered? You asked God, hey man, I want to know why'd you kill my family, and he gives you a son, or this boy that you emulate as your son. Like, you think your prayers got answered? No, that's God's, or what you thought was God saying, man, I feel kind of bad for you. Here's another boy. In actual reality, we know that's the demon. We know that's the devil. Like, legitimately, I think it's the devil. Like, Satan himself. He's just a bored individual. But, so after that, we then cut through a little bit of time. Miles seems to be more comfortable in this new community, and we see him playing, throwing some rocks and shit, and he looks out into the world and sees travelers coming. And as he's staring at their wagon wheel just breaks automatically. Just magically just breaks, and he kind of smiles a little bit, runs off like the little devil he is, and goes to tell Epps about everything. And Epps informs him, just, hey, spit it out, what's going on? Because as soon as he comes in, the boy's out of breath. He's like, they're coming. Well, spit it out, boy. Who's coming? Travelers. All right, we'll go see them together. And as they go to walk away, of course, Miles asks him about his blindness. He's like, oh, it's a little fogginess around the eyes, but other than that, I think I'm fine. He, reaches out his hand to hold his hand. They start walking. And that's when they go to meet the travelers. It's kind of an awkward introduction, because it starts talking, I think, Dutch to them. And they're like, hey, bro, we don't know what you're saying. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. In a time of confusion, I tend to go back to the native tongue. And they get to know each other a little bit. They find out they're going to a certain place and that they're a long ways away, but, they're willing to allow them to stay at the community while they fix their wagon wheel so they can send them on their way. And they very much appreciate it. And what's really weird about this scene, but it, ties back in with the fact that this little boy is the devil. And I don't think anybody but Epps can see this boy, because as soon as he's just like, okay, we will let you, come hang out with us for a little while. I am a man of God, and then, we close no doors to strangers. Come on, Miles. And Miles grabs his hand, and they're just staring at him, just like, the hell is this, man? What do you mean? And they're like, we're really hanging on the woman traveler's face. I think her name is Martha. We're really hanging on her face, and she's very pregnant, by the way. She's very pregnant. Like, any moment now, she can give birth. But she's just sitting there looking, and he's just like, hey, man, don't eat a gifted horse in the mouth or something like that. But they just stare away. They, seriously, straight up, because it's just weird. Because, again, I think it ties into the fact that he's not really there. So when they cut to them eating dinner at this place, and they're in a joyful mood. They're giggling, they're eating. And we cut to a group of friends of Epps talking about Epps, going, hey, where is he? What's going on? How dare he bring these travelers in here, without talking to us? Well, he thinks he's special. He's talking to God. He comes and goes as he please. Well, he ain't no prophet or anything. Well, I mean, he kind of seems like a prophet. They're just gossiping about the travelers and about Epps. Epps eventually shows up and sits down, and he's just like, how can you allow this? It's people like them that are tearing this country apart. Their blood is being shed, and I think it's God's will. And of course, Epps shuts them down. He's just like, listen, they're people in need. They're friends. It's all good. We then cut to that night. And that night, Epps has to stop everybody in town from staring at these people because they're asleep. And it's like nobody's ever seen a bunch of people sleep a day in their life. But they're all with their lanterns and shit looking into the window. And Epps is like, go back to bed. Go, get out of here. Go. Everyone just go. And then he proceeds to start staring at these people. Like, oh, well, two black people sleeping. That's a strange sight. Like, motherfucker, they're sleeping. Leave them alone. Straight up, just leave them alone. That following morning, or a couple days later, I don't know, they don't give an exact time frame. They've been here for a little while, though. And Epps is fighting with one of his friends about something going on, because they're digging a well. And, the traveler walks up to them, and he's like, well, your friend's awfully rude to walk up and not say anything. Oh, I'm sorry, maybe he didn't want to be rude and interrupt our conversation. And of course, he walks up and he's like, sir, me and my wife, we just want to know when will our wagon wheels be done, because we appreciate your hospitality, but we don't want no charity around here. If it's going to be a minute, we don't mind working. We don't mind helping out a little bit. And of course, he's like, I'm hesitant to let people, my guests work, but I've been talking to God and, it feels right. So if you want to help, I accept. And they're like, all right, since you accept, him helping, maybe he can help us fix this debate we're having. Okay, what's this debate? And he proceeds to tell the traveler that they've been digging this well for a good long few months now, and they have yet to find water, but this is the only place that is soil enough for this well. And it's either they continue digging on through and pray they find water, or they move to another location that might have water and start all the way over. So he walks over there and he grabs the dirt, kind of swishes around his hand a little bit and just goes, "Nah, keep digging, keep digging." Well, you heard him, keep digging. Well, if he thinks there's water, why don't you go ahead and dig first? Well, I don't mind if I do. So he goes down there. And while he's doing that, the women and Martha are talking. And they bitches. They a bunch of bitches. Gossiping gooses, I like to call them. Gossiping gooses. Because they're just like, who taught you to sew? You know, you do it so well. Oh, my mother taught me, you know. Oh, well, you know, who taught you to speak English? You know, what did y'all speak before y'all got here? Well, I've always been American, so I mean, I don't know. We probably lost our native tongue back in the day, but I grew up in America. And then one of the bitches say something in Dutch, and then the girls, all the women laugh, and she just looks at her and goes, "Oh, Agatha, whatever the fuck her name is, she wants to know, does it come out differently? You know, your belly, does it come out differently? You know, like a pony or something?" They all start giggling and shit, and Martha's just kind of upset, but she ain't saying shit. And if it was me, I would have said something. I would have been like, huh. Oh, it's about to come out differently, all right, princess. Bend over. Let me show you how it's gonna come out. But, you know, Martha holds her tongue. We then cut back to her husband as he's digging through the well, and he finds water. As soon as he gets done, he comes out of the well. He's drenched in water, and he's done a great job. People are clapping. We all feel good about life. We didn't cut to this meeting that they're having at night while the travelers are sleeping. And I shit you not, the first thing out their mouth is, "How is this possible? We've been digging for months, but yet he digs one time and there's water?" Like, bro, you were digging in the right spot. You needed another couple of hours. You gave up too soon. And you think now it's magic because this man told you to keep on digging, even though you probably would have kept on digging and eventually found this water? What's wrong with these people? That's what I want to know. What the hell is wrong with these people? But yeah, they're like, clearly this has got to be black magic. What do you think, Epps? You are the prophet after all. Like, do you think that these people are wicked? And, you know, he's eating this shit up. He's just like, Miles. And then Miles hands him the Bible, and he pulls out a quote as I'm having a stroke yet again. Leviticus 25. And his main point of the sermon is, look for wisdom in time of pain and confusion. Do not rule with such variety over one another. And of course, as soon as he says that, you know, everyone cheers and they're clapping. You know, they think it's a good idea. And I guess, you know, at this time, that means, you know, don't trifle on these people. They have done nothing to us. They're just travelers, you know. It's not black magic. But Epps don't really know. He starts praying to God. Now, here's a weird thing about him praying to God. When he's praying to God, it's like he's having an actual conversation. Like, I know some people, when they pray to God, they actually, you know, just like, "Hey, God, how's it going?" "Oh, yeah, it's going good on my end, you know, it's fantastic, you know, but, you know, I have some questions, you know, could you, like, pray over," and, you know, people do that shit. No, with Epps, it's like he's having an actual conversation with somebody in the room, you know, he's just like, "Lord, I don't know, you know, this is the right thing, you know, people are calling me a prophet and all this, you know, I don't think I'm a prophet." And, you know, of course, you know, the voice is like, "Oh, yeah, no, you're a prophet." He's like, I am a prophet? You know, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I am doing good. You know, I am on the holy vow of God. You know, I'm speaking through, you're speaking through me. You know, that kind of shenanigans. And as he's praying, Miles is just staring at him from afar. Like, he's sitting down in the background, but you can see him staring at him. It's very creepy. Like, very, very creepy. But again, it shows you that Miles is still influencing him heavily. The conversation he's probably having, it's Miles himself talking to him, but without moving his lips or something. And as he's talking and praying, we then cut to the traveler and his wife, and he's helping with the well, and of course they're like mocking him, and they're just like, I've never seen such lazy shit in my life, you know, he's gonna bring this pile over but not stack it up politely. And then of course they're making fun of the wife, you know, speaking Dutch against her, and she don't know Dutch, so you know, she can't say shit. But granted, we all know they're talking shit, the way they're giggling, everything, looking at her. Fuck those bitches. We then cut to that night, and Epps is watching them sleep yet again, and then he notices that the wife is gone. And then she's suddenly standing there, staring at him with these black, gaudy eyes, and it kind of freaks him out a little bit. So he starts doing more praying, just like, Jesus, you know, God, like, what am I doing wrong here? Like, what's going on? Like, what do we do about these travelers? Yeah, he prays a lot. I'm not gonna lie, he prays a lot. And I do not know why. Like, he literally constantly is asking God for every little detail in his life. Just like, God, just like, seriously, I don't know what to do. Like, do you not have your own train of thought here? Like, God gave you free will for a fucking reason, dude. Use it. Don't use God as a crutch. Use your free will that God gave you. Make your own decisions. And I think that's why God probably didn't answer him. Because God's like, bro, like, I can only lead you so far. I can only hold your hand for so long. Like, you're a grown man. Like, you're grown. You gotta deal with this shit on your own. Like, I can't help you on this. But anyway, that next morning, Epps is walking around. He notices that Miles is gone. He can't seem to find Miles, and it's freaking him out. And he drops his cross, and the woman picks it up and goes, "Sir, I believe you dropped this," and goes to hand it to him, and he sees a monster staring at him. And he starts losing it, and he's just like, "You come here to tempt us with your black magic and to come at us." And she turns the tables on him, and she's like, "Well, maybe this is a trap. Maybe this is a trap by you and your people to keep us here to work free like slaves." And of course, you know, he's got her aggressively by the wrist. And she slaps the shit out of him because he says something to her. And once she does that, he bends her wrist back, and it really fucking hurts. So she starts screaming, and then her water breaks. Her fucking water breaks, and it's, oh my God, it's horrible. And as her water breaks, you know, everyone's gathering around looking, and he's like, "We must deal with these travelers and get rid of them. We must deal with them somehow." So they take him to a barn and go, "Well, this is where the animals sleep, so you should feel right at home." Throwing them in separate barns, and again, this woman's in labor now. She's in labor. Ain't no one giving a fuck about this baby's life, huh? Ain't no one caring. Ain't no one caring. We then cut to Miles letting them out of their stalls after a certain amount of time, and they tried to flee on a horse and leave the area, but yeah, they don't get very far. We then cut to Epps praying again, and this time he's like, "I am your instrument of God. I am your instrument. You got me. I believe everything you're saying. Your words are flowing through me. This is great." And now we're at a fucking trial. Apparently they're putting them on trial because they, quote, quote, stole the horse, even though the horse is there. They're just trying to get the hell up out of Dodge. But yeah, Epps won't let them leave. And of course they're all arguing, and they're like, "Well, you the ones who brought the travelers here. You brought this here. This is your fault." And again, while this whole trial is going on, she's still in labor, by the way. Still in fucking labor. I'm sure she lost the baby at some point. Because as they're arguing about what to do, He's like, they stole this horse. They must be on trial. We must punish them for the crimes they have committed. And they take them out back and blind them with a hot iron in their eyes. And Martha's forced to watch this. I'm pretty sure she loses the baby at some point. We don't get to see her lose the baby, but it's rather obvious at some point she's not giving birth to this baby. She's stuck in labor. She's stuck in fucking limbo. But they blacken their eyes out, and they're like, they must be punished as the good Lord commands it. And of course, Martha, you know, they can't see each other. You know, her and her husband can't see each other. So, but she fucking loses it at this point. She loses it. She stands up, and I'm gonna be honest, the prosthetic for their fucked up eyes was really, really good. Like, it was really jarring and bizarre because it was like swollen and fucked up, got blood and pus and shit coming out of their eyes. It was really cool. But she stands up and she's like, I put a curse on you. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I will put a curse upon you and this land and your people because this is all messed up. What you're doing is wrong. What you're saying is wrong. I've never heard any of this. A curse upon you and your houses. Basically, straight up like a Romeo and Juliet thing. Just a plague upon both your houses. Like, I was all for Martha on this. But unfortunately, as soon as that happens, boom, the Bible bursts into flames, and they just go, oh, what is this black magic? And then we have this fucking lynching with the ironic song, Eyes Only for You. Now, if you don't know the song, it's a love song, basically about saying, I only have eyes for you. I think it's ironic, though, because their eyes are fucking burnt out during this lynching. But as they're being lynched, they then get proceeded to be burned alive. Yeah, let me repeat that. Burned alive as they're being lynched. And Miles is just sitting there smiling. And of course, Epps is praying to God, going, the punishment shall be judged and blah, blah, blah. You know, praise be the Lord. Being a fucking nutter that he is. And then, as that's happening, the whole town bursts into flames. Like, all of it. Like, all the buildings, all the people just starts bursting the flames. And he sees everyone dead around him. And then Miles grabs him and leads him to the basement. As everyone's burning. We get the slow pan of them going into this dark, dingy basement. And he's just like, God, is this how it ends? I have obeyed you. I have done as you said. Is this how this ends? And then finally we hear a voice come out and say, no, this is not how this ends. And then he looks up and he's like, who are you? I am the one who spoke when he was silent. I am the one that answered your prayers for you to shake the world. And you shall shake the world. And this is a big scene right here because this is basically the deal. This is the deal with the devil. This is why the land is cursed. This is why everything's going to hell for the Emery family. This is why. He tells them, break their hearts from the inside. Make hell to them, their black hearts. Make them suffer. Make them destroy themselves. And if you fail, you shall suffer. If you shall fail, the same action shall come upon you. Basically saying, fuck these black people up because I'm a racist piece of shit. Because apparently the devil's a racist piece of shit. I just thought the devil looked at everybody as an equal opportunity this year. But apparently the devil's a racist piece of shit. Because he another stroke over here. That was rather obvious. He's specifically targeting black people. Like, why, bro? This is one of those questionable things about the writing. It's just like, why does the devil gotta be fucking racist? Can't he just attack people because he's a fucking piece of shit? He's the devil after all. But yeah, no, basically, the devil's a piece of shit. He was a racist. I mean, dead serious, too. Like, it's just, like, he's basically just saying, fuck with the black people, man. Fuck with the black people. And if you don't get them to break and bend and come to my will, you shall suffer a greater fate far than what you fear. Now take my hand and seal this covenant. And they go and they shake their hands, and Miles' hand becomes an old man's hand. Now, something I forgot to make a mention, that during this whole speech about the deal, Miles' face is changing to multiple different people, going from young to old, I think women to men, you know, stuff like that. It's changing because he's the devil, you know, he's coming out with different disguises over here. And as they shake hands, the building proceeds to fall on top of them, basically killing Epps where he stands, making him this immortal ghost that is covenant to forever taunt the black people because the devil's a racist piece of shit and he knows racism will win. Actually, no. If you honestly think about it, yes, it does sound like the devil is a racist piece of shit. Because, you know, the devil is a piece of shit. But like I said, the devil looks at everybody in the equal opportunities. He knows hatred will always win. Because it's the devil. He lives off this shit. He lives off the hatred. So he knows hatred will always win. And of course, bigotry, racism is a pretty big sign of hatred right there. So as long as you can make the hatred continue and make these people suffer, it's a win-win. And again, it's a racist fucking plan, but it's a plan nonetheless from the devil to continue on harvesting his souls and getting the enjoyment he wants to get out of life. Because again, the devil's a racist piece of shit. But after that, the camera pans up from the sky, because we're looking at the town burnt up that next morning. We pan up and we pan back down. We're now looking at Compton of the today from the start of the show and everything. And this is basically where the family lives on Palmer Drive. And then the episode ends. Now, like I said with that episode, it basically is explaining the whole purpose behind the supernatural elements that are going on in the show, which is basically why the lambs curse, who Epps is, who the guy is, and the black hat, why the family is seeing this guilt manifestation in front of them. It's because of this motherfucker making a deal with the devil to constantly taunt, manipulate, and fuck over black people, because hatred, racism, and bigotry is what basically fuels the devil. Mainly it's the hatred. It's a lot of the hatred. And like I said, bigotry and racism goes hand in hand with hatred. But now let's move on to the last episode. Episode 10. And it's entitled Dayton. We then start with Betty in Greg's basement. She's sitting there staring at the ladder. And I guess his words have been echoing in her head, because eventually she gets up, she goes to the ladder and realizes the door's unlocked. So she gets all excited, opens the door, looks around, and sees just this field. She gets up out of there and she sees the sunlight and the beautiful crisp air. She looks around. She thinks about going towards Greg's house, but no, she proceeds to make a run for it. And she's feeling great about life. You know, the music's swelling. It's very orchestra. It's very nice. She's smiling. She's thinking, I'm going to get away with this. I'm going to be okay. Life is going to be grand. Like, she's having that ounce of happiness, and it's quickly taken away when you hear a gunshot go off and she goes down like the fucking animal she is. Greg shot her. Like he said, if she really loves her and it's true love, it's going to be great. And if not, it's going to be painful. Well, that was painful for him because he had to shoot Betty dead. And that's the last we hear about Basic Big Betty. Like, straight up. I don't think no one gives a shit that she's dead. I think she's one of those unsolved mysteries on Dateline NBC. Now, we will never hear about Betty again. I'm sure he buried her out back, probably fed her to her pigs or something. Hell, knowing Greg, he probably put her back in the basement, like he's keeping her corpse mummified downstairs or something. I don't know. Man's a little weird, but the point is, Basic Bit Betty is no more. We start the episode killing that bitch off, and that's the last we even see of George. I'm assuming he either feels immense guilt about doing what he had to do and probably killed himself after, or just lived with life. One of the two. The point is, Greg did justice for us all. You go, Greg. Anyway, we then cut to the family. Oh, kind of the family. It's like a dream sequence because the song is A Dream a Little Dream of Me, which I love this song. And it's like him and his family driving into the town. And this is all a dream sequence because of the fact that we see Betty there with her husband, and we see, you know, everyone gathering around the car as they're driving, and of course they're screaming, "Get the fuck out! We don't want you here!" And they're holding up a racist ass sign in blood, by the way, that says "Colors are not welcome." And as the song keeps playing, we find out this is a dream by Lucky. Like, she's having some serious PTSD moments. And Lucky wakes up to realize she's getting prepped for surgery as we speak. She's getting prepped. So, you know, she starts playing along a little bit. And she's just like, well, can I go to the bathroom before the surgery? I don't want to wet myself. I don't want to be embarrassed. So, you know, the orderly, being the nice guy he is, lets her out. And he goes to help her up. And she falls down. She's like, did we make it to the ball yet? No, princess, we haven't. And as soon as he says that, she grabs the medicine he was getting ready. I guess some kind of like knockout shit. Because as soon as she stabs him with it and puts it into his system, he is knocked the fuck out. Like, he's just gone. And yeah, she drugged his ass. And she is planning an escape. We then, bless you, Maxie. Bless you again. Hang on a second, guys. Maxie, you okay? You alright? You're sneezing a lot. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. My dog's just, she's sneezing. She's sneezing like crazy for some reason. Anyway, we get to Ruby, and she grabs the axe. And we're now back with Henry, because remember, we left Henry off with the lynching. She has the axe, and she kills Marty's stupid ass friend Earl with the axe to the back. And they drop Henry, and of course, you know, he's gasping and stuff. And she's holding the axe, she's looking at him, and she's like, try me, bro. Like, she's like, basically saying, come at me, motherfucker, come at me. And he's just like, oh, hell no. And he goes to take off, and of course, you know, the girls surround Henry, like, daddy, you okay? And they untie him. He's like, yeah, baby, I'm fine, I'll be right back. And he gets up, and he grabs the gun, and he goes after Marty, and he starts shooting at Marty, and Marty's running at the house, because he's a little bitch now all of a sudden. And as he's running out, he gets shot in the leg. He rounds up in the middle of the street, and Henry's standing above him, just punching the shit out of him with the butt of the gun, and demands him to turn around. He's like, roll over, and he points the gun at him, and of course, now everybody is like coming out of the streets. Now, this is the shooting, everybody comes out. You know, when the cop got shot, no one cared, but this man, we all cared. But he asked, who's your buck now? Now, the reason why he said that was during the conversation when they go to intimidate him on the roof when he's putting his antenna up, they keep calling him a buck. And that really pissed him off. And as he's punching the shit out of him, Betty's husband pulls up, and he just looks more shocked, like, I can't believe this motherfucker went to this extent. What is going on? And then that's interrupted when Marty's fucking bitch of a wife comes running out, all pregnant, smoking her damn cigarette, going, get the fuck away from him. What are you doing? And he's just like, tell your wife to shut the fuck up. Baby, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. You damn straight. I'm gonna call the police if you do anything to him. And Henry looks at her and goes, call the police. Should you do that? I'll put a bullet through his skull. And then she calls him a dirty N-word. Just straight up calls him that, and he gets pissed. Everything is finally just coming to fruition to him. He points the gun at her now, and she starts freaking out. Just, oh, honey, I thought you were talking mad shit just a moment ago when you called him that. You know, you didn't have no fear. What's this fear of God you're having now, huh? You didn't mind talking shit when the gun was pointing at you, but the moment the gun points at you, you suddenly, oh, I'm sorry, sir, I didn't mean it. Nah, bitch, fuck you. But as he points the gun at her, he sees the tap dancing man standing behind her, just laughing and rubbing her belly and shit, kind of taunting him. And he looks at Marty, he's like, do you want to know what it feels like to lose a child? And then all this PTSD flashback just comes flooding on out. We get to see all the craziness building up inside of Henry's head. You know, the dealing with his boss, the racism, the bullshit going on at the house, the neighbors, all this shit finally accumulating. He's actually becoming the tap dancing man. There's a split shot where he's laughing, and so is this tap dancing man, and there's faces are split together, and they're basically in sync. And right before he's about to shoot her, Ruby calls out, Daddy, what are you doing? And he stops and looks at her, and he comes back to reality, and he's like, baby, just go inside to your bedrooms, okay? And they run off in. And of course, he takes a good look around. He sees the shit storm that is happening. We then cut inside where Ruby tells Gracie to stay in the room because she's going to go get Henry. And, of course, Gracie's like, well, what about Miss Verna? What if she shows up? Don't worry about Miss Verna. She ain't real, okay? Tell me she's not real. She's not real. Good. Now close your eyes. I'll be right back with Daddy. And she goes to run off. Henry, we then come back to Henry, who sees, again, he's seeing all the people staring at him, so he decides that he needs to go inside, but as he goes to the door, the front door slams closed and won't open. And at the same time, he's banging on the door going, Ruby, let me in, Ruby. This is when the girls are about to fight their inner demons. And so is Henry once he gets into the house. As Ruby's running down the hallway with the axe, she sees the living room get very, very dark. And then she hears her dad, screams for her name, get muffled. And as that's happening, she starts hearing the cheerleading squads in the bathroom. Then we cut to Gracie, who's in her bedroom, hearing children in her closet in a classroom. And at the same time, we keep coming back and forth between the two girls. At the same time, they both go to confront what they're hearing, which is Gracie's going to the closet and Ruby's going to the bathroom to remove the shower. They get kind of locked into the rooms because the door slams shut. Miss Verna comes and grabs Gracie and yeets her into the closet, and Ruby is brought into the school bathroom, and that's when her friend appears. And remember, she still got the axe. She still got that axe. We then see Henry finally make his way through the back door. And as he comes in, he sees steps leading up to the movie theater. And we know it's a movie theater because we hear that, let's all go to the lobby, let's all go to the lobby, let's all go to the lobby and get some nice snacks. Yeah, we get that little montage. And as he approaches and goes inside the theater, we see the tap dancing man sitting there eating popcorn, having a good old dandy time. Oh, he's having a good old time. But he looks at Henry and he goes, we sure do love these picture shows now, don't we? And of course, Henry's demanding, where are my girls at? Oh, well, your girls are just fun. Why would I want to do anything with those pretty little heads of theirs? And Henry's getting pissed at this point. He slaps the popcorn out of his hand. And he's like, tell me where my girls are at or else. And he's just like, Henry, Mr. Henry, why don't you look with your eyes? And then points to his left, and he sees Henry and the girls that day they went to the movies. This is that moment. Like, straight up, this is that moment. We didn't cut back to Lucky. And she is sneaking out. We got this powerful, I'm talking about Black Power song playing in the background. Like, it is fucking awesome. As she's going and, sneaking out, she's got a little disguise on. She's going to leave. And before she leaves, she sees that Dr. Bitch standing there. She goes in there and grabs her and proceeds to bash her fucking skull into the wall, into the sink, into the glass door. Like, I love it. She beat the shit out of her. I hope she killed her. It seemed like she killed her. I pray she is dead, because fuck that bitch. Fuck that Dr. Bitch. And then as she cuts through, she sees that there was another patient in there about to get electric shock therapy, and she just leaves the door open and helps her kind of loosen up the restraints so she can escape. But Lucky feels empowered. She feels strong. She goes to walk out, and of course the security guard sees her. And now, I don't know if he just doesn't recognize her, or if he's just like, you know what, get the fuck out of here. You don't deserve to be here, kind of scenario. But he kind of looks at her and just goes, and looks down back at his newspaper, and she just walks the fuck out. No problem. But he can go back to Henry at the movie theater. And, of course, Tap Danny Man is continuing to taunt him. He's just like, well, like I said, Mr. Henry, you are always at the wrong place at the wrong time. And he proceeds to guilt him. Just guilt him. Just, you had to leave the house, didn't you? You're lucky wanted you to stay with you and that baby, but you had to be the man. You had to go see that movie. Take your girls out because you left an hour early. Look what happened. Look at what happened. Mr. Henry, because you left that hour early, you were finally at the right place at the wrong way. Hang on. Oh yeah, no. He said this time. He says you were finally at the right place at the right time. Like, why are you guilting him so fucking hard? Like, this man, I'm sure he's already dealt with his own guilt about the situation. The fact that he feels like a failure, not only as a husband, but as a father as well. He couldn't protect his child. He couldn't protect his wife. And all because he wanted to hang out with his children. He wanted to be a father and spend time with his children. And some fucking racist ass piece of shit now make him paranoid to be a father. But here we got the tap dancing man, making him feel guilty about every life decision he ever made up to that point. And as Henry is like kind of freaking out about all this, because it's all coming to him, this guilt, this trauma he is feeling is building up into him. Oh, excusez-moi. But it's all building up to him. And the tap dancing man looks at him and goes, I'm sure you'll love this picture. And we don't see it, but we hear it. It's the fucking 5th episode. It's the whole shit with Lucky. All that shit. We get to hear it. We don't get to see it. Thank God for that. But we get to hear it. We then cut back to Ruby in the bathroom. And it's her, and her little friend comes out of the bathroom and it's just like, I thought we were friends. Fuck you, you demon ass bitch, and go back to hell. Like, straight out, like, go back to hell. That's exactly what I said. And, of course, she laughs a little bit and is like, do you know why I picked you? Because I know everything about you. I know what you like, what you don't like, and what you want. And then suddenly all her PTSD flashback starts coming back at her. And all she can hear is, I don't want to be like Mama. Say it with me, Gracie. We're not going to be like Mama. We're not going to be like Mama. But it's too late. You're already just like her. And she looks at herself in the mirror and she sees like a younger version of Lucky as herself holding the axe. Black eyes and everything. Because she didn't want to be like her mama. We then cut to outside, and of course, all the folks outside, you know, and I literally wrote this: white folks angry. All the white folks outside are angry, and they're all like, "Burn down the house! We need to get inside! You know, fuck these people! Da da da! You know, all this shit." And of course, Betty's husband is talking to Marty, and he's just like, "What the hell are you doing in their basement? Why are you doing this? Because somebody's got to do something about these people, because no one else is going to do anything. And Betty's missing, and you don't seem to give a shit about your missing wife." And he seems to be overly giving a shit about somebody else's missing wife. But he says, "I was teaching them a lesson," and then points the gun that he's been loading, by the way, at her husband. And, of course, you know, Marty's wife's like, "Marty, what the hell?" And he's like, "Shut up, bitch." And Betty's husband's just like, "What the hell?" And Marty's just like, "Your wife had more," I forget the exact words he said, but to sum it up, he's just like, "Your wife had more balls than you." Marty don't take that very, Marty says that with such confidence, and Betty's husband don't take it very well. He just walks over to him and proceeds to break his fucking leg. You know, the one he got shot in, he just breaks it. He just straight up breaks it in half and then walks out of the house. Just walks out, goes to his car, backs out. He apparently left his car in the middle of the road. He backs out, goes turn around, sees Lucky standing there in the middle of the road. And they stare at each other for a minute. And then she goes off her way. He goes off down the road, never to be seen ever again. Good on him. Hopefully he's moved on. He's done with Betty. You know, Betty's gone. Maybe he'll be a happily gay man now. Who knows? But as Lucky comes by, of course, all the white folks come gather around her and start saying the most racist shit known to man to her. And I'm not going to repeat anything they said, because it's just the nastiest racist shit they say to her. And they're also demanding to know what she's done to Betty, because they are still convinced she's done something to Betty. Even though Betty herself has left in her own fruition and is killed by George. Who the fuck cares? Let's blame these people that we're all mad at for some strange ass reason. But Lucky has enough screams on the top of her lungs. Just screams. That's it, just screams. Doesn't say anything, just screams. And then everyone shuts the fuck up. She walks to her house like a boss-ass bitch. And as soon as she walks in, the house is engulfed in a flame of fire around the house. And everyone is just like, "Oh my God, what the hell?" And she just walks into her house like a boss-ass bitch and closes the door, because she's got shit to take care of. She's got to protect her family. We then cut to Gracie, who's in a classroom with Miss Vera. And Miss Vera, of course, is that snooty, tall woman with a little stick in her hand. And Lucky hears Gracie screams from the closet because Miss Vera is hitting her and her hand with a stick. And, of course, as soon as Lucky hears that, she comes to the closet and sees her and just goes, "Not today, bitch," and charges at Miss Vera. Miss Vera charges at her, and they have a bit of an argument, and, a bit of a stranglehold. Gracie goes, "Mama," and gets up and runs off to the book, and pulls it out from underneath her bed and starts looking at it, and it's just like, "You're not better than Mama, you're not Mama," and she starts ripping the book in half, basically fighting her own inner demons, saying that no teacher would be better than my own mom. Like, my mother is everything, my mom is here to protect me. And after she rips up this book, Miss Vera then rips it in half, and black goo gushes out, and of course Lucky runs over to Gracie. She's like, "Baby, are you okay? You know, I love you." And they hug it out, and it's very, very beautiful, very touching. And I love it. I love it, because she's just like, "Baby, you know I love you. You're everything. I would never do anything to hurt you and your sister. I'm here for you. I got you. Mama, are you okay?" "I'm okay, sweetie. I'm not going nowhere. I promise." We then cut back to Ruby, and of course, Ruby is being taunted by her friend, but now Epps is speaking to her directly through her friend. Now it's his voice, not the little girl's voice. And he's taunting her, saying, "You are just like your mom. I mean, look at you. you're just like her. You are going to be her. You know, you're ugly and dirty on the inside. You are just like her. And she sees her holding the bloody sack. And she turns to her friend again. And her friend is now the epitome of her mom in the reflection in the mirror. And she's like, I'm going to fix this. I promise. And she puts the bag over Ruby's head. And then grabs it aggressively and then slams her to the sink. And starts, like, I guess trying to smother, choke her out or something. But starts hurting her. And there's a bit of a struggle. And the mirror gets shattered. So Ruby, in a panic, grabs a shard of mirror and starts stabbing. Now we hear the sounds of what sounds like someone stabbing, you know, the piece of mirror into the flesh of somebody. But what we're actually hearing is Ruby sawing into her own face, trying to cut her own face. But luckily, Lucky's there to stop her, and it's just like, Ruby, come back to me, Ruby, I'm here. And Ruby, comes back, and of course, she walks up to her and it's just like, Ruby, what happened with me and Chester? You don't need to know, but what I want to tell you is, all you need to know is I would never hurt you. I love you and I will always be here to protect you. You know, that mother speech that we all love. You know, the whole protective Mother Nature speech that every mother gives in a horror movie when their child has been in danger and they're trying to talk them off the ledge because they're dealing with the devil here. Yeah, it's one of those situations. But it's so beautiful because as she's speaking to her, she drops the shard of glass, or the shard of mirror, and she hugs Ruby, and she's like, do you know why you're my Ruby? And then you cut back to that beautiful moment they had a couple episodes back, and you hear her go, because I sparkle. And as they hug it out, she's like, Mama, I'm sorry. No, there's no need for you to be sorry. There's nothing for you to apologize for. There is no reason for you to be sorry. I love you guys, and it's going to be okay. Now, Ruby's got her demons taken care of. Gracie's got her demons taken care of. Now that just leaves Henry. Henry is watching the movie play out on the screen. He can't watch it. And as he goes to get up, the tap dancing man demands him and makes him sit back down to watch this. And he looks at Henry and he's like, why they do us like that, Mr. Henry? Why do they keep on taking? That's all they do. They just take. They take your home. They take your money. They take your job. They just take. When are they going to stop taking? And, of course, Henry at this point, he's going full, like, in the flesh. Like, he is almost emulating him to the point that he's letting these words get to him. He's letting these words bother him. And he's just like, well, what do I got to do? I only got one bullet left. Well, you don't need them bullets now. You don't need them. You need to protect your family. And now you can protect your family. Go outside. Use your bare hands. And this is when Henry Lilly starts mouthing the same words as the tap dancing man. When he's just like, use your bare hands. Now go out there and show them crackers. Show them a beast of the field. Show them the beast of the field. And he's slamming his fist into his chest as he's saying that. Him and the tap dancing man both are. And he just keeps saying over and over again, the beast of the fields, the beast of the fields. It's so hard to watch because this man is basically spiraling and becoming the very thing he strived not to be. He did not want to be the basic black person that everybody thought he was, a beast of the field. He is a sophisticated engineer here. He is a well-rounded black man. But yet he has been basically turned into this. And to see him kind of embrace it, it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad and it's sickening, and it shows you just how close the tap dancing man, how close Epps was to getting Henry, because he wanted Henry, I guess, to go out there and die in a blaze of glory or something, get shot by the police or something. But as he's, smacking his chest, he stops, and then the tap dancing man starts singing, what you gonna do, boom, boom, what you gonna do. He starts singing that. He's getting Henry all riled up, and he can hear the echoes getting more and more aggressive. And he's like trying to fight this urge, like he's becoming this beast. And right before he breaks, the moment before he breaks, you just hear Lucky say, Henry? And he stops and he sees that Lucky's hand is on his hand. And they're looking at each other, and everything goes quiet. I mean, everything. The music stops, the audio stops. It's just quiet. They're staring at each other. They're embracing each other with their eyes. Yes, baby, I'm here. We're here. I'm here. This is real. Come to me. Come back to my reality. And he looks at Lucky and finally breaks the silence with a tear streaming down his face. Just, I should have been there. You couldn't have known. I'm sorry. I just want to make it all right. The house, the job. I just wanted everything to be all right. Henry, we got 2 little girls over there. 2 little girls waiting for us. We got this, Henry. We got this together. We got this, Lucky. We got this. And then they kiss each other. They embrace each other in a passionate moment. And as soon as they do that, they're back in their bedroom. We're not in the movie theater anymore. We're back in their bedroom. And it's a beautiful, loving moment. He basically defeated his demons emotionally. He finally was able to say something, I think, that was weighing heavily on him forever. And it was, I'm sorry. Like, he felt the need to say, I'm sorry that he failed Lucky. And Lucky told him the truth. You couldn't have known. No one could have known what these sick motherfuckers are going to plan. Nobody could have known. But yet, here we are. Here we are. And we got each other. And oh my God, it's like a beautiful moment. And it's shortly interrupted by, what you gonna do? Boom, boom. What you gonna... And fucking Lucky sees him. Lucky sees him. And fucking Henry gets up. Because the tap dancing man's in the corner, by the way, just singing and dancing along, being extra fucking creepy. And fucking, Henry just can't take this anymore. So with the last bullet in his gun, shoots him in the head. Just straight shoots him in the head. And he falls back. And as soon as that happens, that fucking, best fucking rap song ever, The Edge, starts playing. Just, bun, dun, 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 bun, dun, dun, dun. I'm just like, fuck yeah, Henry. Just go, Henry, go. Show that motherfucker. Fight your demons. This is what they mean when they say fight your demons. He fought his fucking demons. And as that song's playing, he walks up to him and he goes, you ain't me, and you ain't ever gonna be me. And the tap dance man looks up and just starts laughing. Just starts hilariously laughing. Just maniacally. Just just going fucking crazy. And Henry just pulls out a little handkerchief from the tap dancing man's jacket and wipes his face. And plot twist. This, I'm going to be honest, this I did not see coming. I should have seen it coming, but I didn't the first time I ever watched this. But when he wiped his face, it was a white man underneath. I was just like, holy shit, they went there. They fucking went there. Like, they literally went, blackface wipe-off situation. I was proud. I was proud of that moment. Because again, like I said, I didn't see that shit coming. I should have, because that's the whole point of a Jim Crow character, is a white man pretending to be a black man with a black face and shit. But the fact that they went to the extent that they wiped his face and they showed a white guy, I was just like, cheers, kudos to that. Because, oh my god, like, that literally blew my fucking mind that first time. But after that, we then cut outside to the crazy fire outside. And, everybody just going, what do we do? These people are crazy. What's happening? Of course, the cops are out there, too, and they're getting their guns drawn and ready. And Henry's talking to everybody, and they decide that they're going to go outside and just confront these people. They're going to confront them. And Ruby, of course, asks, what happened to us? What exactly happened to us? Are we going to be okay? Are they going to come back? And Lucky's like, no, they won't come back, I promise. And what about them outside? We aren't running from them anymore. We ain't running no more. Like, you gotta love those powerful words from Lucky. We ain't running no more. And as Henry get ready to go outside, we see the police, getting ready to get their guns. Lucky hears Epps' ghost basically talking to her, going, oh, Black Sal, how could you? And she's just like, no more running. And she goes to the basement. Of course, Henry follows and goes, Lucky, what are you doing? It's not over yet. And then the basement door slams shut. And she goes down there, and of course it's extra fucking creepy because now we got lanterns on the ground. We got all Epps' little cult members just hanging around praying. And Epps standing there in the middle, and he's like, what you doing here? And she basically sums it up to, none of your business, but I'm here now. You don't belong here. Well, who says? God says. Oh, really? Well, I don't remember seeing that in the good book. And they get into a little bit of a tussle back and forth about this whole situation. And he eventually says, do you believe this will end when you leave? That your curse will not follow you? You had a covenant, and you failed to uphold it. You failed him. And I know this pain too. And he walks back, and you see Chester in a little basket. And of course, she's like, oh my God, and runs up to him and starts holding him. She's crying a little bit, and he's like, the gift I offer you is not the blessing I got. Leave your suffering behind. Stay with Chester. Stay here, and you don't have to worry anymore. And as she's contemplating and debating it, and she's holding Chester, crying, just saying, I'm right here. Mama's right here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here. You see all the little cult leaders is raising up their knives. I guess getting ready to stab her for a sacrificial moment or something. I don't know. But as they're getting ready to do that, Lucky starts thinking about the real Chester. Starts thinking about the time she had with her baby. And she's saying, I'm right here. I'm right here. And that snaps her out of it. And she looks at Epps. She's like, my baby is gone. You lost yours. That's where our similarities end. You tried to blind us. Tried to stop us from seeing ourselves. I'm right here, motherfucker. And I see you. And as she's saying the speech to him, his face slowly starts going from deformed to normal to him just being fucking blind. He's just blind. And because he's blind, she grabs his cross and throws it on the ground, and now he can't see because now he's fully blinded by the acts that he was lied to. He thought he was doing the word of God, and what he was really doing was being blinded by the acts of the devil to do the devil's bidding. But now he failed his contract, so now he must suffer. So Lucky ends up running on out of the basement as we intercut between him on the ground, looking around because he can't see, and his old town burning. We then cut to this really nice shot, just a dark room and the spotlight on him, and then he just bursts into flames, and we all know he's going to hell. Good time for him, good time. He gets to suffer for a long time because he made a terrible deal with the devil. We then cut to Henry walking out of the house as the fires are going, and then Lucky follows with the girls, and they all stand there strong and powerful, letting them know, we ain't leaving. This is our home, our place that we belong. And of course, everybody's staring at them. The flames go down. They're all staring at them intently. Like, they're angry. They got that mob mentality look on them. And it's just the family, by the way. It's just them. Everybody else is confused as fuck. But they're just standing there. And it ends with the fires going down. We're looking at each individual face. You know, Ruby, Gracie, Lucky, and Henry. We're looking at all their faces and them just standing there proud. Even though Henry's face is all fucked up from being beat up by Marty and his little dipshit friend, they stand strong and proud that they survived this shit. They're not running anymore. They're facing the shit head on. And it ends with the song "To Be Gifted in Black" as the credits roll. Now that was a climax of a show. I'm not gonna lie, like straight up, that was a climax of a show. Everyone fought their own demons. They got past it. And it all ended somewhat decently. Now, like I said, I do have a little bit of problem with some of the writing. Like I said, with the whole Betty's husband thing, we don't know he's gay. Like, it's not even heavily implied that he's gay. It's just kind of sprinkled in there. And I guess if you pay attention to how he acts towards his wife, it makes sense. Because, you know, he doesn't really seem all that concerned that she's missing. And the fact that he's been seen outside of certain bars, and the fact that he goes out at night, random times of the night, where else would a gentleman of his stature go? Except a gay club. But it's never brought up again after that point. It's never mentioned, and it's never even like hinted at any point. And then with the whole, you know, with Gracie fighting Miss Verna, was like for me, it that one seemed to happen a little too quickly. It's like it suddenly dawned on her that, oh, let me destroy the book and I'll destroy Miss Verna. Like, I was expecting a little bit more of a fight back with Miss Verna since it was very predominant with Gracie, but we kind of brushed that under the rug a little too quickly, I have to say. We brushed that a little too under the rug. But we got it taken care of. I like the way Ruby handled her demon, and I love the way Henry handled his. Like, straight up, I loved it. I loved it 100%. And everybody ended up defeating their demons and getting past it. Again, I just feel like some of them should have been a little bit more time fighting them. Again, the whole Gracie thing. Now, another thing I have with the problem with the ending is, yes, we leave off with, we're proud black people conquering our demons. We're not running anymore, but we're now left wondering what's going to happen to this family. Because, well, it's been 10 days. It's been 10 days, and we saw the shit that Ruby did at school. We saw the shit that Gracie did at school. We know Henry killed the cop. Now, granted, Henry's cop killing thing, we can overlook that because nobody saw this. No one could tie it into Henry. Nobody knows it's Henry. So he could basically get away with this. And, you know, with Henry being the shit out of Marty and everything, that could be also, you know, turned a blind cheek to, since the fact that he broke into the house and attacked him and everything, you know. Maybe there's a nice justice system, which I doubt it. They would look highly upon that and realize he was defending his home. Ruby, unfortunately, killed a person. We know she don't go to jail for it, so I'm assuming probably we did have a nice justice system and they realized, hey, you know, they were just defending their home in self-defense, because we find out some shit in season 2 with Ruby. Remember, keep a pin in that for next week's episode. Well, technically it is next week's episode, but it's part 2 of next week's episode. So keep a pin in that. Remember Ruby. But the point is, Ruby killed a man and basically got away with it. Now, I can look past all this. Now, here's the biggest problem, though. What about Lucky? We all know Lucky was in this mental institution, and then she just kind of walked the fuck out, and she killed a woman. She killed a woman before she left. Now, either there's a magical will of God and no one gives a shit that this woman's dead, or the cops are going to be asking some serious fucking questions once the credits get done rolling. Because, I mean, that one I can't overlook. Every other one, you know, there's an excuse for that. Again, you know, maybe broke into their house, the judge was lenient and stuff, but Lucky killing the doctor lady out of pure fucking vengeance, I think that's a little bit more harder to defend in court here. Oh no, but I'm left off with a lot of questions about this family. Like, are they gonna be okay? Like, how bad is it gonna be? Because we know, especially with the second season, like I said, something does come up with Ruby, so we know a little bit more about the family, but we don't get a full detail or understanding of what exactly happened. But yeah, we left off with that strong, powerful message of don't fuck with me, don't tread on me, and I'll be alright. Now, like I said in the first part of this podcast, this show is very hard to talk about for numerous reasons, because of, just the material and the storylines of this story. Is it good? Oh yeah, no, it's a great show. Very great, loved it. And like I said at the beginning of this podcast, that usually I don't care much for agenda-filled stories, but I like it when they're written well. It's like with another agenda-filled story I like to watch is Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Of course, it's all about the Nazis and how terrible they were and shit like that. Yeah, but that's agenda-filled because we get to see how horrible these fucking Nazis were. And what ended up happening in the end, which was very, very, very fucking tragic. Oh my god, that movie, I cried. I cried so hard at the end of that movie. I cried so fucking hard. All he wanted was a friend. That's all he wanted. But the point is, if done correctly, and tastefully, and nicely, you can get your message across, and it could be a beautiful piece of work that gets people thinking. And this show does that, but it does cross a fucking line with showing too much. Less is more aspect would have really worked here. And some of the stuff, like I said, with the whole best husbands thing, and how they wrapped up some of the demon storylines pretty quickly. I feel like the writing wasn't perfect. It was good, but it wasn't perfect. But I enjoyed it, though. I enjoyed it. I had a good time watching this show to a degree. It was the first show in a long time. Actually, the first show ever to traumatize me. Not movie, show. The first show ever to traumatize me. Because it's just a crazy show. But I think the message is loud and clear. I get the mixed reviews about the show, and I understand the mixed reviews about the shows, and, again, guys, this is my opinion about the show, so please don't attack me, or call me names, or, just the bullshit in the comment section, because you don't appreciate me talking about this show. Again, I'm doing this because I really like this show, and I feel like some people are basically not giving it a chance because it is hard to watch. And yes, we were watching black people get traumatized and basically tortured. It's horrible. But it tells a story. Like, the torture is necessary, and that's the thing when it comes to me and watching people get tortured or upset in any form or fashion mentally and shit like that. It's gotta make sense. I don't like torture porn just because it's torture porn. I don't like that shit. I'm not here to watch people just get constantly mangled left and right. That's why I didn't care much for the Hoffman era of Saw, because at that point, it wasn't about the story. It wasn't about the traps. It wasn't about, the whole cop drama or anything. No, it's, let's watch these people die horrible deaths because people suck. Like, straight up. And I don't really care for that shit. Like, yeah, it's fun, it's entertaining, but it's not a movie I'm willing to put on and sit down because I enjoy it. And if it's on, I'll sit there and watch it. Or if somebody else wants to watch it, I'll watch it with them. But I'm not over there going, oh my god, it's the best shit ever in the world. Because it's just torture. That's all it is. And like I said, I get it where people are coming from, but again, it's done for the act of the writing, for the act of the storytelling. It's not unnecessary. Now, watching it because of the way they did it, that was unnecessary. But the turmoil and the PTSD and everything they had to deal with, that was necessary for the story. They told a well-rounded story. I like the fact that the racism was set up in an actual time frame that makes sense. Because like I said earlier, we still got racism in the world. It's not as bad as it was back then. Now imagine trying to write a show like this and set it in modern times. No one would believe it. Because yeah, we have racist people that still fucking suck in this world. But there's far less than there were back in the day. There's far less because we've all accepted the fact that this is just life. People are people, no matter the skin tone. You know, what really matters is the blood that's in your body. Like, straight up, that whole saying. Just it doesn't matter what you look like. It's how you are on the inside, the person you are. And a lot more people today are more accepting of this than ever before. Back then, though, not so much. But I like that they did this, and they didn't hide behind the racism. They didn't preach about it. They didn't bash your head in it. You know, granted, there were some, you know, certain phrases and words and shit that even I was just like, I think that was a step too far, like I said. But it's not like they were bashing it and going, white people bad, white people suck, black people were just slaves. You know, they're not doing that shit. They're actually telling a story that has a cohesive meaning to it. And I appreciate that. And, you know, this is why I thoroughly enjoy this show and why I do talk about the show. Again, I don't recommend this show to people because of episode 5, but I still enjoy this show, and I still think if you can stomach through episode 5, or at least skip halfway through episode 5, like I told my friend Jessica, I was like, if you want to watch this show, go for it. I say watch it. But when you get to episode 5, when they do a repeat of the opening for episode 1, just skip it. Just know she went crazy. Her children are worried about her. She's walking around with a bloody sack in her hand. They'll explain the rest of it come the next episode. Just skip the last half of that episode because it is just so hard to watch. But we finally finished off season 1 of Them. It's a fantastic anthology horror black show that I absolutely love. I love shows like this. Not just horror anthology shows, but black horror in general, because we don't get a lot of representation with black horror. You know, there's always, you know, the whole joke about, you know, black people dying first in horror movies and shit like that. And I think we're coming up to a lot of strides to have a lot more black representation in horror. That's not just the token black guy or the smoker or the guy who dies first. No, they're actually adding character development, more complex characters, and that is shit I can get behind. I like shit like this. I don't like just insert character and make them black or make them gay or make them trans just because we can. Have a meaning and a purpose behind this. If you want to change something, change it. That's fine. But don't make it a fucking agenda like this. Don't just say, we're doing this because it has to be this way. No, it doesn't have to be this way. You're just trying to tell a message in a very piss-poor manner. You're not writing your story. You're trying to force your story down our throats. And if we don't agree with it, we're bigoted. We're assholes. We're racist because we don't like your shitty fucking writing. And yes, that's actually a couple of jabs at a few other writers of some Disney products that have been talking some mad game, saying, oh, well, if you don't like this, go touch grass. Well, motherfucker, we're touching grass. We're touching grass because I ain't watching your shit. I ain't watching. Like, I watch that shit, and it's just horrible fucking writing. And y'all have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. I shall inform you on now. Doctor Who. I'm an avid fan of Doctor Who. I love Doctor Who. It's a great show. It has meaning and powerful moments. The acting is always great. Like how I even got the pop figures up here. I have all my doctors. Tom Baker, Capaldi, David Tennant, Matt Smith. I have them all. Because I love Doctor Who and I love what it stands for. But this shit that they put out, it's horrible. And it has nothing to do with the fact that you now made the doctor a black gay guy. I could care less about this. Like, here's my thing. The doctor is a futuristic alien from a different planet. Why you gotta write it like this? why you gotta write it like this? Why you gotta make it like everything fucking stupid? Like, oh my god, the whole thing when he brought the butterfly back to life. I was just like, he's an alien, not a god. He's an alien, not a fucking god. And then, of course, just the way the episode played out was just horrible. Oh my god. I'm not watching the rest of this season. I tried. I did, guys. I tried. I sat down. I tried to watch 1 or 2 of the episodes, and I couldn't do it. I got to that second episode, and I was like, I can't take this show seriously anymore. Who is this for? And, of course, Davis comes out and just says, oh, we're doing this for the kids. Oh, so it's one of those shows. It's going to be one of those shows where it's agenda filled. There's no actual story behind it. You're just trying to push your fucking message. Way to go, bro. You ruined it. You ruined Doctor Who. You ruined Doctor Who, and apparently it's our fault as fans. It's our fault. His writing fucking sucks, and it's our fault. What sense does that make? Make it make sense, Davis. Make it make sense, because I used to highly respect you and your work and your writing, but fuck you. That's all I gotta say. Fuck you, because you lost the passion somewhere in life, and I don't know if you made your own deal with the devil, because you sold your soul to Disney, and Disney's got to own everything and fuck everything up. And you sold your soul to Disney, now you fuck this shit up, and now you're going down the ship. And I hope it sinks hard and fast, because you ruined Doctor Who. And again, it's not because of the Doctor. Don't get me wrong. It's not because of him. I had no problem with a black gay doctor. I was actually kind of excited about that. I'm like, a black doctor? That would be fucking interesting, especially a black gay doctor, because of the fact of the whole Captain Jack Harkness thing. I thought that would be great, especially that he's got this cute little companion with him. That could add a nice dynamic here. For once, she can't be in love with him because he's gay. He likes men. But no, it's just I can't even say his fucking name. Tuning Godwin or something like that. It's just him playing himself. He ain't even playing the fucking Doctor. It's, according to everybody, it's just him playing himself. I'm like, that's a shitty fucking actor right there. If all you could play is yourself and not the character you're supposed to be playing, and I get it, the Doctor, he has no characteristics because he's a Time Lord who can regenerate and become whoever he wants. But there's a certain mannerism that the Doctor always holds to himself. The way he conducts his movement, the way he conducts his speech, there's a way he moves and acts, and he ain't acting like it at all. Like, straight up, he ain't acting like it at all, and it's just disappointing. And that's the type of writing, like I said, I cannot fucking stand. Like, the first episode is about abortions, and they couldn't get any more fucking clearer if they tried. Like, they could not get any more clearer if they tried. And I'm just like, you could have done something a little bit more subtle about this. You want to push your fucking message. But okay, Davis, do you, boo-boo. Do you blame us for your problems and not your shitty fucking writing. That seems about right. Blame everybody else for your problems, except for you. Don't worry, though. The devil, when he comes to collect his due when your contract's up, there ain't no one he's going to take but you, homie. So remember that. Like, straight up, remember that. But, like I said, it's just the writing like that I just can't stand. That's why I like them. Because them has their agenda, but it's good fucking writing. It's good fucking writing. But I think I done chambered on long enough about this amazing show. It's a great show. Like I said, I don't really recommend it, but if you're curious about it, do watch it. Just be careful with episode 5, because it is an episode. And you may be stronger than me. Kudos to you if you can handle it. I personally couldn't, because that's just my line. That is just my line. I do not wish to watch the innocence of a child get brutally murdered the way it did. But I think I'm going to go ahead and end this podcast here. I hope everybody is watching, will watch. I hope you enjoy. Hope everybody has a fantastic and a wonderful night. And guys, don't forget, if you're watching this video here on YouTube, to like, subscribe, comment down below, hit that notification bell, because you never know what's going to happen here. Trust me, I never know. And if you're watching this here on Spotify, do what you gotta do on there. Keep on listening to the wonderful screen stream because we always talk about all things horror here. We are having fun on basically this month with them. We will continue on next week with season 2 with them. Now don't worry, it shouldn't be as long as these because they're only 4 episodes. There'll be 4 episodes each, so there's 8 altogether. And they're very fun. I highly recommend the second season. I enjoyed the first season, but the second season was like better to me. I love so much more aspects about it. 'Cause I think the supernatural element is more predominant in the second season, but we'll talk more about that come next week. So I hope everybody has a fantastic and a wonderful night, and I'll see y'all next week for season 2 of them, episodes 1 through 4. But that's a story for another day. So until then, my friends, y'all take care.